Hey there, Sean. How are you tonight? I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing yet, but I'm just here just to test out everything and see how it works. And hey, Andre, good to see you. I'm not too worried about too many people showing up because the right ones are already showing up, so I'm good. Like I said, it's just a test to see if I can figure out how to do all this.
Yes, this is my ugly face.
Well, just to be fair, then,
You don't have to. I know what you look like. You didn't know what I look like, really.
yeah. Well, but yeah, you had mentioned the other day that you might want to come on and speak a
Oh,
little bit.
I'll talk anytime. I enjoy it. Now, see, being around you, my Southern's going to come out really thick now. Southerners, I think, are only comfortable talking this way if they get around other Southerners.
Well, I didn't think I had a Southern accent until I got a little older, and I noticed as a mother, when I get mad, my Southern really comes out.
I was trying to explain to somebody, say phrases that signal doom. One is, with all due respect. Another is, don't take this the wrong way. In the case of Morgie, it's listen, darling, we tried to get hammered. And of course, all Southerners know, bless your heart.
Yeah, and
And
well,
your
my
hair,
family's
that's the best you can do with your hair. I know, bless your heart.
in my family, it's well, how about that? Which means they're
Yeah.
going to talk about you as soon as you get home, or as soon as they get home.
Yes. Or they talk about you as you get older, they talk about you right in front of you.
Yeah, that's true too. Hello,
So
sweet and sour.
that'd be a good name for us too. Sweet and sour. You'd be sweet, I'd be sour.
I'm always both.
Well, since we're here and hopefully Dre's with us, and you put some of my comments on so I can see what Dre says. Um, let's face it, it's a new game. We used to be Where in the World's Carmen San Diego. Now it's Where's the World's Asshole.
I
And
think he's
what
at work.
happened? Do we know yet what's happened?
I'm not sure. I've seen it appears he was zigzagging for a while and then
I think he
um
thought he was going to Portland. I don't think Toxie would take him.
I don't think
He
so.
was in Portland.
I know he went there. There was a short clip where he showed her,
Yeah.
and nothing after that. She never mentioned it that I'm aware of,
Well,
and he never mentioned it.
because if he went there, I was not going to talk to her anymore. Like, you've already seen this happen. Why are you in it?
Right.
And while Shelly's never going to be a friend of mine at this point, I do want to know she's okay.
Yeah. And for Sweet and Sour, this is not the Shelley that you're familiar with. This is a totally different person.
Okay.
She doesn't have her own site or anything. There's another
No.
character that goes by Antarctic Chick, whose real name is Shelley, and Sweet and Sour comes from that community.
Well, now it's probably late for the Jarheads to be up, but Mrs. Jarhead's she's back on streams now,
Good.
and she's sassy as ever.
That's good to hear.
We
I
needed
haven't
her.
been online as much as I used to be,
Yeah,
but
yeah. About 3 weeks ago, Kenny Klein had Turbot on, and unfortunately, Mrs. Jarhead didn't make it, but Morgie more than made up for it.
yeah, I haven't been back to Kenny Klein since he allowed that one guy to yell at Miss Jarhead. And well, I take that back. I went back one time, and his panel was total chaos, so I didn't go back.
Well, it's not as chaos as Kate's can get. This whole thing is strange right now because Sancho has seemed to have given up on broadcasting.
Yeah, it looks that way.
And, I don't know why. I mean, I thought he had reasonable shows. Most of the time, Sancho was pretty balanced. He could get a little saucy, but most of the time he's pretty good. Kenny is what we call in Catholicism a vacillator. He wants everybody to be happy, but he finally got angry and threw the resistance out of his stream.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Everybody's called him a racist. It's like, Kenny's not all white.
I don't dislike him personally. It's just I've kind of lost interest on the most part about the First Amendment auditors and stuff. And like I said, I don't get online as nearly as much as I used to.
We have a new pet. Her name is Accountability Angel.
I've seen her around.
Oh, she's precious.
I haven't been on her stream, but I've seen her comments before at Masshole.
She's a female Glenn.
Oh, my word.
Constant pecking. Can't shut up. And says the same things over and over and over. Kenny's the first one I saw it on. Then Artie had one. Schrodinger's had it. And now Kate had her tonight with Artie in tow. Virgo got sick again.
Yeah, I popped in for I pop in her to watch her videos, and sometimes I'll watch Chuck's videos and stuff, but I rarely get over there for the live streams anymore.
This was the first Chuck live stream I've been on in a while. I was on with Roland. It was all guys, just me and Roland and Carl and Hank. It was a lot of fun,
I do miss Carl.
Ladies, Carl's a great. You just have to be patient with Carl.
Now, I do see Tim Barry from time to time. He goes back and forth.
Tim. I love Tim. I pick on. He loves to be picked on. All you can do is say Pat's blue ribbon, and he gets defensive.
Yeah, he gets teased a little bit over in the other community I go into. Well,
we like Tim though. Tim is good people.
Well, I do have a sock account, and I don't watch the First Amendment auditors themselves, but I sometimes watch the commentators talk about them. But a lot of the time, it always evolves into other things like personal drama and gossip and things. That's what's going on over there now, and I had to take a break from all that.
Well, I think Kenny got a little bit of a handle, and we're starting to recognize whose minions are who, and he's shutting them down a little faster now, and that's good.
I'll probably give Kenny another try, like I said, because I wasn't mad at him personally. I just got frustrated with the situation. Well, I kind of was mad at him personally at the moment, because I guess I get a little protective of my friends, and I didn't like
Oh,
Mrs.
me and
Jarhead
I have
getting
been through
yelled
that
at.
before too. So he got mad at me one time and said, "Kenny, somebody has to stand up, and if I know that you have this view that you're going to protect everybody's free speech, but I have to protect people,
Right.
you know." And I don't. It's like, you have to take a stand, and you have to believe in what you're saying. Along those lines, sidetracked. I am looking at every one of Jay Fresh's streams now because I want to see who's in them, and whoever's in them is not a friend of mine. And I have nothing to do with them.
Right.
Because now,
I
see,
will say that the catnat is
yes,
very involved in the other community I troll through every now and then. And I use the word troll literally in a way because
yeah.
sometimes I do troll
So she knows she
under.
messed up. I've messaged her with her. She knows she has some fences to mend because she got thrown out of. She lost her wrench over it. She got in trouble for talking to us. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I believe too. And yeah, Andre, I didn't know you had a misunderstanding with Jarhead, or I have forgotten about it. But yeah, I know you are protective of your friends too. And
But I mean, when Dre got tossed out because of Mark, Mark's still with him. Mark's still. I can't find Ed. Ed is missing.
yeah, I last time I lurked around one of the streams before they shut everything down, they were asked Butthead was asking about Ed, or somebody in his stream was asking about Ed. And
Not
he,
only Ed, but Labial finally Labial lost his wrench too, even though they gave all that money.
yep, right after Cat.
Because when Lynn lost hers, but she's gone back because Lynn doesn't have a life outside of Justin.
Yeah.
That's sad. I like Lynn, but you know what? She was a day late, $1 short on defending me when you heard what I got thrown out for.
Yeah.
Harassing her, which never happened.
No, I didn't know
Yeah.
that was it.
Oh, it may or may not still have the stream somewhere. That whole weekend was Memorial Day weekend of last year when he had his little meltdown, which we've all got copies of, even vilified. I Instagram with vilified on Christmas morning talking about this.
Yeah.
He wasn't aware that me and Libby and everybody else had been thrown out. He was not aware of that at all. But anyway, that's what Justin had. I asked him because I couldn't get through to him on Messenger. I couldn't get through on email. Hey, are you okay? You look like you're really agitated. Well, I don't want to talk about it, but fine. And he said, well, it's not your business. And I sent him a messenger back saying, hey, when people give you money, they become stockholders. And yeah, it is our business now because you got rid of somebody we liked and you won't explain that to us.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say that you owe them everything if somebody gives you money, but you should show some loyalty. You should show
And,
some concern
and
for
he
your
Libby
people
meant
who
so much
support
to
you.
us.
Hmm.
Libby's not
Libby and
really it was Libby we went for. Libby and Roland were the voices we like to hear on there.
yeah, and oh, who's the other guy?
Frater
The
was
young
on occasionally.
trader. Yeah, yeah,
Frater were the bad movies. We had Dane in our group for a while, and then Dane bagged out. I don't worry
yeah.
about him. He's gonna die of self implosion someday.
Um, I pop on his. Well, I don't
I
really
don't
go in
pop
his
on.
live streams.
I see him posting. It's like Dane.
Yeah,
You just gotta relax. You gotta relax.
most of what he posts, I don't really have that much of an interest in.
No,
But I'll just pop in and say hi. How are you? Um, like I said, there are other familiar faces I see from time to time, like Taze.
Taze, I'm going back and forth on. I try to get along with
He
Taze, but sometimes Taze is a complete asshole.
you're right. He can be.
He shouldn't have
He
been thrown out
hasn't
what
been.
he said, and they should have known that's how Taze is. And in the old days, Shelley would have
They
laughed.
see.
Shelley would have laughed.
That's just it. They did know how Taze was, and it just
But
she
they're drunk.
just.
They're drunk and on drugs.
Well, I didn't know that about him. Oh, are you talking about them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what
Yeah,
Tay's
yeah.
about. Yeah, Tay
I was
seems
I was
okay,
gonna
but
say once they moved in together, they both changed.
yeah, I don't know who
And
changed too. You
there's
know,
a few other people that I've seen around that Kimber.
I
I
see Kimber.
see.
Well, Kimber's the one who was really
Yeah,
bloodthirsty for a while last summer. She's the one who gives the video.
yeah,
And she's calmed down. I think she's tired of it now. I mean, I understand
yeah,
that, but hey, bless her heart, she gave us like the one piece of evidence we had.
yeah.
If
But
people came to us and say, hey, you know what? We're going to put this all over YouTube now.
I actually meant to say Kimball, but I said Kimber. But
I see
you're
Kimber's
right.
location. I'm very wary about Aaron. I'm wary about Beverly. I don't trust
Mhm.
either one of them.
But Kimball, the thing about Kimball was I don't know if Kimball's male or female.
I don't
Um,
know either. It doesn't really matter to me. But back, the thing with Lynn is Lynn and I were, now she's in Wisconsin and I'm here, and I'm not romancing anybody. God, I can't romance my own self. I am divorced now. Anybody wants to know, month now. Um, but I was talking to her on there because she liked all the music posts I did on his group, especially when I was going like diving into like deep stuff, things that she didn't know existed. Somehow,
and
the way she tells me is that Shelly basically got her compromised. She was drunk, and then Shelly just kept picking at her, and they finally said that I was harassing her.
just on a side note, this is my friend Mudbrooker. He's from Grampy Lobster Stream, but he also has his own channel
I
on
know, Booker.
YouTube, and he has a channel on Facebook, and he is my resident expert on cast iron and restoration.
Cool.
And he's my go-to guy, and he humors me a lot. And he's a character too.
Cool. Yeah, I
I
think for
appreciate
me,
him.
I think as we get older, it's harder to find people who, of course, I have so many people I've known in the past. I used to know a lot of people a lot older than me. I used to drink with years ago. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One, people my age bored the hell out of me because they always had to
Yeah,
be somewhere. And also, older people, I would listen to their stories, and you know what? They wanted to tell their story. Be it Korean veterans, Vietnam veterans, or they wanted to tell their story to anybody.
right.
You get a lot of free drinks out of it because you were listening to their story. I mean, a lot of nice people now. I'm sure they've all passed away. Most of them have, either from old age or being caught with the wrong woman, or both
Yeah.
in some cases.
Well,
But
it's like with Andre, when I was single, and I don't think I'm revealing any confidences here. When I was single, it seems like I never met anybody that really met my criteria. And it's it goes back to the thing about uh, partners and jobs are always easier to get when you've already got one.
yes.
It's like because when I first met my husband, I was so set in my ways. I did not want a serious relationship, et cetera, et cetera. He did. I didn't. Um, but he had younger children, and I'm a little older than him, so I was very resistant
Cougar.
to getting
You
serious.
cougar.
Yeah.
That's what. See, it's hard for me to get a cougar because I'm 60 this year. Yeah, I'm running out of cougar options. But of
Um,
course, Utah is a strange place because half the population is LDS.
yeah, it's like Grampy was talking about a while ago that there's an age difference between him and his wife, and people will rib him about it sometimes, but he said he didn't even meet her until she was 30, so the age difference really didn't mean anything.
I'll tell you where it makes a difference. And sometimes it's cultural. Like I graduated high school in 1979. The height of disco is still strong, although waning a little bit. My Sharona was number one.
I remember.
It was a
I'm
big
right
year.
behind you, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big year. The Long Run came out, Tusk came out, In Through the Outdoor, The Wall, Damn the Torpedoes. Because I think of years in terms of music. I always remember, like when I organize my stuff is organized by year, not artist. Because I know that certain things chain together like that. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think people,
associate things by song sometimes.
but people who are like 5 years younger don't have that same memory. What's their memory? They were Madonna bees. Now I'm
Well,
old now. I know that stuff because I kept up. And I think I fell out of modern about 2000. There's been songs I've heard, and I finally found a band. I think they might be from Georgia. They're named Rival Sons, and I love them. Oh
Yeah.
God, I love them. But there's not. They've killed rock. There is none. There's none
Well,
on the radio. It's not allowed on TV. They
I was going to
disgraced
say,
Eddie Van Halen the other night. I'm sick of what they did to him.
who is this?
Eddie Van Halen at the Grammys. They should have had like a 15-minute tribute of everybody coming out there and playing Van Halen songs or talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, he made a significant contribution
There
to,
wouldn't have been 80s hair metal or any kind of hard rock
at
about it.
least not how it came out. I mean, not how it ended up if it hadn't been for Eddie. Well,
Yeah.
Eddie and his brother, but you
Yeah.
don't hear about his brother as much, but he did a lot as
Alex
far
was
as
just as big
songwriting
a
and stuff.
schmuck as the two of them were schmucks. There was
Yeah.
nothing socially redeeming about Eddie. The fact that he couldn't keep a lead singer starts to prove that, hey, Dave and Sam were actually right. Dave recorded a song and he put it on his YouTube channel. It was called Somewhere Over the Rainbow Bar and Grill, about playing in Los Angeles with Eddie. It's a nice song. And I thought it was the best way to do it, because that way he can't be accused of saying something wrong.
Yeah.
Because I got to see them in 5 years ago, maybe a little bit further back. But they came here on their fifth reunion tour. They were fantastic. Dave's never been a great singer. He never will be. But he's a great entertainer, and he is
Well,
Van Halen.
see, that's what I say about a lot of artists. If you look at Madonna, Britney Spears, Willie Nelson, many, many others that don't have great voices, they have good voices.
I would
but
say
they don't
Madonna
have-
was a very good singer at one time. I don't think she
Right.
has that voice now, but I think
But
in her
they-
early days, she was a great singer.
But they had a compelling style. Now, some
Yeah.
of it might have been manufactured, but regardless, it worked for them. It got them in the headlines. It got them on the billboards, So sometimes, and Willie Nelson wrote some wonderful songs, and
The whole
there,
thing.
like a lot of other artists, like I'm saying, is, you don't necessarily have to be the best singer. There's a couple of ladies
Dylan was the ultimate proof. Dylan was never a great pure vocalist, but nobody could sing his songs like Dylan could. And
Right.
people tried. Lots of people tried. Well, Willie had a great 5-year run between all the way from Redheaded Stranger up through maybe even 6 years, all the way up through Somewhere Over the Rainbow and Honeysuckle Rose. And then he started recording all those duets, like with Julio Iglesias. He became a celebrity and not an artist anymore.
I kind of agree with you to a certain extent, Andre. I never really paid that much of attention to Van Halen when Sharon was with them.
Oh God!
I liked
These are not
Hagar
going to
as
fans.
I liked Hagar as I liked Sammy Hagar better as a soloist at one time.
Yeah. Well,
But the combination I liked, with Van Halen, I really did like. David Lee Roth in the beginning, I thought he was cool, little flashy, and then after a while he just kind of weared on my nerves.
but here's the thing:
But
why
that's
did
my
girls go to
personal
Van Halen
taste.
shows? They went to see Dave, not Eddie.
Right.
Dave had, and if you listen to a David Lee Roth interview, even now, the man is smart. He is beyond smart. He's got a restless soul. He actually did become a paramedic at one point in New York.
Yeah, I heard about that. I think I saw
And he
some
did it for
pictures.
7 years. It wasn't just like, here's my photo. He said, I'm the guy who had they had to clean all the ambulances out and all that stuff.
Not an easy
the person
job.
recognized me. When I went to, he's like, you're Dave. Said, we're here to save you. We'll talk later.
Yeah. I mean, you look at somebody like Vanilla Ice. I don't consider him the most talented person.
I like Ice Baby, though. That's one of my guilty pleasures.
I was going to say,
Why?
but
'Cause I can
it's
do
one of
it.
those things,
Because I can do it.
but when he at some point he looked around and said, you know what, I'm not really getting anywhere. Let me do something else.
Yeah.
I admire people better for doing that than staying in the business too long and becoming sad.
Caricatures. Well, we see that with bands now. I mean, there's bands who barely exist as original bands. There's times that Foreigner has no original members.
The Sweet, the British band.
There's like 3 bands called Sweet.
Yeah, right.
And
And
there's two LA Guns, there's two Queensryches. Because they
that's why I
still
mostly
the
see.
O&M.
The only concert I ever went to, because I have a thing about crowds.
Uh-huh.
Now, if it's a spaced out crowd, lots of room and everything, that's one thing. This concert wasn't that bad because it was like an open air concert. Everybody's sitting on the ground except for the expensive seats, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Peter Frampton opening for REO Speedwagon, and the headliner was Foreigner.
Now, what year was this?
Uh, Early '80s, I'm thinking.
So
And
the bands were intact at that time, more or less. Because Foreigner was
well, it
always
might have been mid
weird.
'80s or so. Well, no, it had to have been the '90s because I didn't meet my best friend took me as a birthday gift. I didn't meet her until early '90s.
Yeah, I think by the '90s that Lou Graham was already out of Foreigner because he had blown his voice out. Now the guy who sings right now, Kelly Hansen's a fantastic singer, but it's not Foreigner to me. It's the Foreigner tribute band. Journey's a Journey tribute band. Styx is a tribute band.
Well, REO
REO Speedwagon is Kevin Cronin, but without Gary Rich.
Without Gary, yeah, I lost interest when. Well, actually, I started losing interest in REO Speedwagon when they started doing ballads.
Well, but here's
because I never liked the ballads much.
I liked "Keep on Loving You." I thought that was a great song.
My husband loves that song. I can't.
Because he rarely played piano. He had two songs they played piano on. That one and "Roll with the Changes."
Yes, that's my number one. That's
Time for Me to Fly was a ballad. It was a cool song.
Yeah.
I liked Bruce Hall and the band better than Gary Philbin.
Yeah.
I love Back on the Road Again. I saw them in 1981 on the High Infidelity tour. So they were really big at that time. I've never seen Styx, and I won't now because I won't go see Styx without Dennis DeYoung.
Well, Andre, I do like the singer. I cannot remember his name, the singer for Journey, but I would have liked to have seen him.
I like to see Steve Perry sing at Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was disgraceful.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen the current lead singer for Journey do something on his own to prove himself.
Well, and Sean's got a band with Greg Rowley. He's doing like Journey, that's not Steve Perry music.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, go ahead and get Ross Valerie back, get Dunbar back. He's alive. Go back out as the original Journey, who was a really good band.
Yeah, actually, Steve Perry wasn't even the original singer for Journey. It
was Greg Rowley, yeah.
Right. But he's the one that got him to the top,
Well, he helped get him there as far as
the songwriting and his vocals, yeah.
But people forget Greg Rowley was the original singer in Santana.
But
Black Magic Woman is Greg Rowley.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's a lot of bands I like and I don't know that much about, and then there's a few bands I know a good bit about and don't particularly like them that much anymore. But I mean, when it comes to music, my tastes will change over time.
Well, for me,
but there are certain ones that will always be significant because it was like we were talking about before. It marks a part of my history. I can think of that song and think what I was doing at that point in time. Right. Can't remember what I had for breakfast, but I remember where I was the first time I heard Riding the Storm Out.
Well, a few songs are like that with me. The first time I heard Refugee by Tom Petty, I went like, oh yeah, I get this. The first time I saw Kiss on television, and my mother like, what the hell is that? And that's it. That's what I want. It will piss my parents off to no end.
Yes.
And I was like, and I was Kiss Army. I mean, I was stone cold Kiss fan. Now I hate them. I don't hate my era of Kiss. I hate what he's doing now because I think it's disgraceful to have people in Ace and Peters makeup. I was
never a big Kiss fan, but I like the novelty of Kiss. The idea, hey, they're doing something nobody else is doing quite this way.
Well, they were.
Well, the costuming and stuff.
Alice Cooper had already done that first.
Right. Matter of fact, I remember being like 12 years old or so, maybe 13, and I was complaining about music on the radio because it seemed like at that time in my, because if you remember back in probably about 74, 75.
74,
because I was born
75
in
was really good.
62.
For me, was really good years. I have very fond memories of that era.
Right.
Because
Well, if you remember back in the day, radio stations they weren't like they are now, where they're all conglomerates and everything. Different stations would have different playlists. I
yeah,
could go to my cousin's, a few counties away, and hear completely different songs that I never heard on the local radio
well,
stations.
that's when the underground FM radio existed, and we had album tracks, as they used to call them. Then we used to play like an album every night, or they play a new album when it came out. You sit home and record. It's like, hey, you got the new Grateful Dead. Yeah, I got it off the radio. No commercial.
Right.
Living down south, Alabama does not have much in the way of mountains. There's
Right.
some areas like Mount Cheaha, it's like 4,000 feet.
Yeah.
Most of Alabama is pretty flat. We would get WLS Chicago at nighttime.
Yeah.
They were rock and roll with John Records Landecker. And you talk about just all night music. And then when we moved west, we lived out in the Black Rock Desert. And now I got KFI from Los Angeles.
Well, I was on the southeast coast of Georgia, right off the coast.
Yeah.
So I mostly got Florida stations late at night and everything, radio and TV.
Did you ever hear a Mexican station?
Not not on FM that I recall, but I have on AM.
Because those are the ones that ZZ Top talked about, heard it on the X. They're the stations right across the border that have no limits.
Somebody else came out with a single called Mexican Radio.
Mexican
That's
Radio,
like in the 80s. Yeah.
But yeah, they had something called Heard It on the X, was about them growing up in Texas and hearing this music, like they said, country Jesus and hillbilly blues. That's the music they would hear at night, because they had no limit on the wattage.
Yeah.
They had these 100,000 watt towers right across the border. That's where Wolfman Jack started. It was right across the border in Tijuana.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, my favorite Wolfman Jack memory is still American Graffiti.
I remember him from Midnight Special.
Oh yeah, and he got a little, Midnight Special. When you look at it now, you think it was actually live music.
Somewhere I have.
You can watch it over YouTube also.
That CD collection, that DVD collection they used to advertise on late night. I had that whole collection. It not only has all of the performances from Midnight Special, but it's got some of the stand-up comedy, like Freddie Prinze, the father.
Richard Pryor was on there. That was
Richard Pryor. The guy that played Belzer on Law and Order. Sorry?
Richard Pryor, George Carlin was on there.
Yeah. Who's the Richard Belzer?
Belzer, who is now, you look at Belzer, he was on National Lampoon. Back when they had Belushi and Bill Murray.
Well, is this the guy that was on Law and Order for a long time?
Yes, Richard Belzer was on National Lampoon Radio. Oh. And his greatest shtick was, "Hi, this is Dick Valentine, the best looking guy you'll ever hear."
I could not stand him as a stand-up comedian, but I really liked him on Law and Order. And then I started thinking he was funny.
He was great on Lampoon. Yeah. And it was just like, nothing was sacrilegious to him. Somebody called him, if Kennedy was such a great Catholic, why did he let him get shot? That would be nailing him up. You know what I mean? That was Belzer.
Yeah. Side note. Hey, Binary.
Hi, Binary.
Glad to see you. We had a really good time on his channel watching MST3K.
I watched a little bit of that. I had to get back to work, but I watched a little bit of it the other day.
I was making naughty comments in the chat.
Mystery Science Theater, bless its heart. I love, back when my wife and I got along a lot better than we get along now. We get along okay. For our next married couple living in the same house with our daughter, doing pretty good. But we used to watch Mystery Science Theater every Saturday night, and we still reference those. The one that had the giant grasshoppers with Peter Graves. The whole running shtick was,
yeah,
Graves, and I'm in the correct place. I'm Peter Graves.
One of my most favorite ones are Teenagers from Outer Space on MST3K, because that's one of the first ones I saw.
My favorite, they did Manos Hands of Fate, which is really a bad movie.
Yes.
and I can't. And then Justin showed it, and I knew the bad scene was coming with the dog. I couldn't watch the rest of it. I can't watch this.
Right.
I remember
Right.
now. He had 2 movies on. He had Mitchell too, which was really bad, but it had like name actors in it. It had Joe Don Baker, Merlin Olsen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitchell. The whole thing was, "Hi Mitchell, how you doing, Mitchell? Hey Mitchell." And the Santa Claus movie. Oh God.
I still watch MST3K on YouTube, and I'm on their
Yeah,
Facebook
I have
following
I have
thing.
Netflix and I watch it on that, and also I think Pluto TV it has it free with commercials, which is fine. I mean, a couple of other stations, but at Christmas time, there's 2 movies I watched. One was White Christmas because I love White Christmas very much, and I
Yeah,
watched
the
that.
Gamera movies. Binary's talking about the Gamera.
Oh, I remember
The-
Gamera. In fact, our dog, our first dog, Cricket, had a little orange turtle. We called it Gamera.
there was another.
They have Mothra on there.
I can't remember what it's called, but they did what was called Mad Movies. I can't remember the team that did it, but it was similar to what MST3K did, but they did voiceovers more than
uh,
anything. And sometimes they would show clips out of sequence. Like one of the things they did was they showed a Shirley Temple movie, The Little Princess, and it was about a demonic talking doll. They did Night of the Living Dead, where they were giving a dinner party and the zombies were the guests and they had no food, and you know then
hilarity ensues. Yes.
and then there was a little, one of the little clips that they were showing people shoveling snow, and they talked about the mashed potato farms of the Midwest, and you know
It was
I,
amazing to
the
me
LA
that
Connection, that's what it was
yeah,
called, LA Connection. You
you
can
know,
still find those sometimes.
MST, from what it started as and just the brilliance, there was a rumor I've never heard substantiated that they wanted the first Star Trek because that was so bad, and William Shatner was all for it. He said that movie deserves to be on Mystery Science Theater, but then Roddenberry shot it down.
What was it you showed the other night, Binary, as your dessert on your stream? Was that what
Yeah,
he's talking
The
about?
2-part Disney thing. Yeah,
Oh,
Gambler
okay.
was great. I liked it was like Girls Town. It actually had Paul Anka and Mel Torme in it.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and it was like you see them in a fist fight, and the voiceover was perfect from Crow. You really see the eternal struggle between pop and jazz.
I can't imagine Paul Anka making a fist.
No, well, here's the, they were in, it was Mamie Van Doren
Oh.
and her personalities.
Now, if you people talk, I'm sorry, I had to pick up something. People talk about Marilyn Monroe all the time, but they forget about the other blonde.
Jay
See you
Mansfield,
later, Andre. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Nitre.
Um, but they forget about Mamie Van Buren and Jane Mansfield and those women that came before Marilyn Manson
And
or were contemporaries of not
uh,
Marilyn Manson, Marilyn Monroe. Sorry.
Diana Dore,
Yes.
who is the female on the cover of Sergeant Pepper.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's not Marilyn Monroe. That's Diana Dore.
Well, do you know that Jane Mansfield is the mother of Mariska Hargitay from
Yes.
Law and Order
Oh,
SVU?
yes.
She looks very much like her when she
Yeah.
was, especially when she was younger. Lonnie Anderson played played Jane Mansfield in the life, the movie version
Uh-huh.
of her life and everything. Arnold Schwarzenegger played her husband, Mariska's father, and her actual father was also a champion bodybuilder and everything, and he was still alive. He guest starred on, well, he's not now, but he guest starred on an episode of SVU as, and he was in a very short clip in a
Uh-huh.
airport with his granddaughter or something like that. But yeah, he was still a nice looking man, well into his years.
My memory of James Mansfield, of course, she was probably dead. I was born in '61, so I don't know if she's dead yet or not. And of
Jane
course, when she
Mansfield?
died is just tragic.
Yeah.
Um, but when I see the film clip of her and the girl can't help it, when the milkman
Yes.
goes by and that milk starts spurting out of the bottles and she's walking by, how they got away with that, I'll never know.
Yeah. And I think about now and compare the women of that generation with women like my grandmother and how very different their lives and expectations were. Of course, my grandmother was a Southern Native American widow twice over by the time my mother's father died when I was 2, so I never really knew him to speak of. But my whole memory of her is I see pictures of her and I'm like, she's just as pretty as any in her own way, in my opinion. But she would have, even if she had been in Hollywood, she would have never been accepted because she's dark haired, dark skinned, even though she had the same type of busty figure and slender frame and everything and all that. But there's no way she would have been accepted except maybe as an extra. If she had been an actress or something in Hollywood. It's like, I was very shocked that Rita Moreno did as well as she did.
And it's still doing.
And
Isn't
yeah,
she
she was on Law and Order.
She was on Oz for a lot of years too.
Pardon?
She was on Oz.
I didn't watch Oz, but she played
a nun.
Law and Order CI.
Yeah. I remember
Criminal Intent.
Yeah,
she played Bobby's mother. She had dementia.
That was I liked the year of Jeff Goldblum. I thought that was a great year.
I like him.
Well, I just thought they found a way, rather than have him team with Ames, they completely changed the teaming.
Right.
Well, Chris Noth did a great job because he's playing the same character. He's playing who he is, who he was in Law and Order. But I thought Goldblum was fun because it was completely different.
I like him now because he pokes fun at himself.
Basically, he's being Jeff Goldblum all the time.
Right. It's like George Hamilton did in the later years. George Hamilton would play up to.
Also, he discovered I can act like this, and people want to see me act like this. If William Shatner, for me, it started on Saturday Night Live in 1986. We did a parody of himself at a Star Trek convention.
Yeah.
It's like these really weirdos they're asking them questions like, what was the combination on that safe? These kind of things. He says, I have something I want to tell you. I've been wanting to say to you for a long time. I get your cards. I get your letters. I see you at these conventions. Get a life. Move out of your parents' basement. It's a big, beautiful world. You want to experience it. Because, and I don't know who's more obsessed, Trekkers or Star Wars people.
I don't know. Hold on 1 second. Yes, Binary. Maureen O'Hara was gorgeous as well. And Rita Hayworth.
It was getting spanked by John Wayne and McClintock.
But yeah, Rita Hayworth.
McClintock was one of the. Lauren Bacall,
did you ever?
Until she died, was gorgeous.
Did you ever see Yvonne DiCarlo, who played Lily Munster?
Before she did.
Yes, before she did the Munsters. Yeah, there's a movie she did. I think it was called Pinky, where she played a mixed race woman in New Orleans, I'm thinking, and how her family resented her because she was able to pass for white, so she did in order to improve her life. And it's a very, even now, it's a very interesting story. Lauren Bacall also.
I'll tell you who else was a beautiful woman. Irene Ryan. If you ever saw pictures of her in her youth before she became granny with all the makeup years later,
I actually have looked and haven't. What surprised me was, remember Endora from the Bewitched show?
Endora?
Samantha. Endora, the mother. And she's always so glamorous. But if you look at her acting before that, pardon?
Uh-huh.
I missed what you said.
Oh, I was thinking somebody else. I was thinking Arlene Dahl with the big wig maker along with Ava Gabor.
Oh yeah, but wasn't her Agnes Moorehead? Yeah, that played
I
in
just,
Dora.
yeah,
But if you look at almost all
very
the
good.
roles I ever saw her in before that TV show, she always played more like the dowdy, plain Jane, more like the granny character than, that Irene
Mhm.
Bryan portrayed as on the Clampets. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
I was surprised I'm always surprised to go back and look at early movie and TV roles of actors and stuff. And some of them, you know, amaze me. And
Well, and sometimes you hear these things years later that Frances Xavier,
yes,
MP, basically didn't like anybody on Andy Griffith.
really.
She resented, I think she resented being Aunt B as she got older. I think she resented the fact that she had been an actress, in films. And she took this gig and she got typecast into it and she thought it was beneath her. And Andy Griffith to me was the greatest show when I was young for a couple of reasons. One, I loved the show. Two, as a Southerner, it was nice to see he had nuttiness around him, but Andy was never nutty. Andy was like warm, well spoken. He solved problems, and he was Southern. And he wasn't afraid to talk like he was, his natural self.
Yeah.
And he had great music on there when they had the Dillards playing the Garland family.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I've seen some clips on YouTube that gal who played I forget her name. I know her name was Darling was her last name. I forget what the name was.
I know who you're talking about, and I can't
But,
remember her name
but she would
either.
actually go out and sing with them. The
Yeah.
songs that she did on the show, and of course, Briscoe, darling.
And if you remember on Beverly Hillbillies, they'd have Flat and Scruggs on
Flat and
there.
Scruggs. Yeah,
They were like
and
family friends or something.
they had Flat and Scruggs. They took the money. I try to explain to people because I've seen Steve Martin with his bluegrass outfit, and they're very, very good. Stone Canyon is a great band. But
One second.
yes.
Um, who played Patrick Wayne's mother in McClintock Binary?
I think Maureen O'Hara.
Oh, okay.
She gets spanked by John Wayne. I just remember that. It
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, you have to realize with me, I go off kilter sometimes, so I have to be
Oh,
brought.
I go off on rants
I'm
all the
trying to
time.
remember what I was talking about there. Irene
Um,
Mother, Francis Xavier,
mhm,
Andy Griffith Southern.
right. Um,
Growing up down south, you didn't have too many role models on television, and he was one of them.
right.
And the Dillards played the Darlings, Flat and Scruggs. Yeah, I try to tell people who don't understand that Earl Scruggs ruined every banjo player that ever lived
Ruined them.
because they can't play like that. Steve Martin said, "I'm damn good. I ain't Earl Scruggs."
Well, we were talking on Grampy Lobster's stream a while back how he grew to hate hee haw because that's all his, I mean, because his parents watched it so often and
You
there
know
was
what?
so
I
few
love that song.
options back then.
I
But
love it.
we all agreed there was a lot of talent on that show.
And in the things, the staples you remember. One was like the greatest
Thank you,
unknown man in
Binary.
the world. Yeah. Oh, the Carlo. Oh, she was in it too. Okay.
I
I haven't
didn't
seen
realize that.
McClintock in a long time. The scene I remember from McClintock, he said, "I'm not going to hit you, mister. I'm not going to hit you." "Oh, the hell I'm not." He knocks the guy right into the mud.
Um,
Um,
if you look at shows also like The Brady Bunch, Ann B. Davis was a well-known comic actress
uh-huh.
before she ever did that show. That was kind of and she
I
was
think that
actually,
show remains disgustingly awful to me.
but she was very religious in real life.
All I know, in fact, it was funny because she lived on a commune in her later years.
Right, right.
And the great radio team of Don and Mike, and God, I miss them terribly. They called her one time. She had no clue who they were. And they weren't really ranking on her, but they had this running gag, and she didn't get the gag. Did Alice get her meat from Sam the Butcher?
Yeah.
And it's like, it went over her head. It's like, okay, and it was nice to have you on. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's stuff like this, these kinds of streams that I miss from going to, because there are some like Grampy Lobster stream where, people our age go, and there's a lot of other ones where it's mostly people there. I mean, there are some people our age, but it's mostly people younger, and there's not. I don't have an issue being called a boomer. I have an issue with boomer being used as an insult.
Yeah.
A little
Well,
bit.
I have an issue with
But
people who don't listen. It's like,
right. But they miss out on so many people millennials especially, not my kids so much, but
my daughter.
They miss out on so many movie one-liners and movie references and music references and things like that. And I can watch something and laugh my ass off, and they'll be looking at me like, what?
My
husband usually gets it, and my kids usually get it, but people that don't know my circle of family and friends and stuff, a lot of them would never get those references.
My daughter does not get Airplane. She wouldn't know why it was funny.
My husband can quote most of it.
Oh, yeah. I remember I saw it in the theater, they finally made me go home because they wanted to go home. But you kept watching it because you missed so much. In retrospect, and I saw an interview of the Zuckers about this, they said it was funny, but what made it funnier than hell was having dramatic actors do comedy without cracking smiles.
Yes.
Getting Lloyd Bridges to play the crazy, head of the airport. To get Robert Stack basically playing Robert Stack.
And Priscilla Presley, they said that when they put her in and with Steve Martin later on in his movies, is because she wasn't a good comedian. That was why they cast her, is because she wasn't trying to be funny.
Was Priscilla Presley in Airplane? I don't remember her being in there.
Not in Airplane, but in Steve Martin's that type of movie, like Naked Gun and those types of things.
Naked Gun she did, but also everybody in Airplane. Leslie Nielsen. He ruined his dramatic career doing that movie.
Yeah, he was a good dramatic actor.
He was the heavy. He was always like the mob boss or the hitman.
A cop or a detective every once in a while.
And he was the captain on the Poseidon Adventure.
Yes, you're right. I forgot about that.
He was the captain. I watched that the other night. I saw I don't like too many remakes,
Well, see, you probably remember Shelley Winters when she was young.
Oh yeah,
I mean, at least seen movies of her.
And Hazel, she was big on for years.
Because I remember seeing. Now I don't know about you. I like old, creepy horror movies. I don't like bloody horror movies. I like the creepy ones.
I like Psycho. I like Hitchcock because Hitchcock just fucked the mind over. I still don't get what The Birds was.
It was just animal terror.
But the way it ended, it's like they called a truce.
I don't even remember the ending because
the last scene of The Birds is when they finally take Tippi Hedren to the hospital, and all the birds are sitting up there on the wire looking at them, and they never attacked. It's like they stopped.
Yeah.
And
I'll have to go back and watch that again.
But if you ever get that, why she got attacked so much, because she rebuffed Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. He was an ass behind the scenes. Yeah.
Now,
but if you get a chance,
somebody famous.
Sorry,
Tippi Hedren's daughter or somebody famous.
Melanie Griffith.
Okay.
Who used to be married to Don Johnson and then married Antonio Banderas, and her sister is also an actress, but she's But if you get a chance, check out a movie called Gaslight.
Okay.
And I can't remember the lead. I want to say, I know, I can't remember. I think it was from the early 40s, and I cannot remember the lead actor and actresses' names. But no, it was Angela Lancaster that was the maid when she was young, huh?
Aunt Lansbury.
Angela Lansbury. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I can't word well
Well, you said
tonight.
Angela, and I thought, it's like,
Yeah, but
somebody,
she was gorgeous too.
she
But
was.
she usually played like the naughty ladies.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
somebody pointed this out one time when she got really big with murder. She wrote, said, "Why did they ever accuse her of murder?
yeah, it's like
Everywhere she goes, somebody dies."
it used to be a running joke with my mother because she used to watch Murder She Wrote all the time. And she would talk about how pretty the town looked. And there's also Midsummer Murders, which was a British
Hmm.
similar type movie, except the main character was actually a police officer. But we talked about how the towns were so pretty and everything, and there was so
Somebody
much
will
appealing
die.
about it. We would never want to visit there because
Somebody,
everybody dies.
so if you go to
There's always
Cabot Cove, somebody dies.
yes, binary. Ingrid Bergman played the lead role in Gaslighting, and I can't
She's
remember the
also
actor's name, but he had an accent. I remember. But
she was in Casablanca, still my all-time favorite old movie.
yeah. But
I never
yes,
remade
she was gorgeous. But yeah, nowadays people use the term gaslighting, but they don't understand where it
it. Yeah.
came from, and it came from that movie, and the fact that the guy was manipulating his wife to make her believe she was crazy. I believe so he could inherit her money
Hmm.
because those were in the days. And this actually, it hasn't been that long since things have changed comparatively, where women didn't have a lot of rights to their own money.
Yeah. I
You
know.
know, and not just in America. I mean, it's actually more prevalent in Europe, I believe, longer than it was here. But yeah, The Big Sleep, that was
Yeah.
a good one.
That was a great Humphrey Bogart movie, whose real name was Humphrey Bogart.
Really.
Yeah.
I know that I used to know a lot of famous actors, real names. Like I know John Wayne's real name was Marion Morrison.
And he was actually a great football player at Southern Cal.
I think I heard that. It's like
Mhm.
Tom Selleck was a baseball player, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why he did the baseball movies. His love. That's why he wears the Detroit Tigers hat and he played like
Hmm.
you know
Yeah,
Tom.
we had a discussion like that on Grampy's stream about these actors who started out as athletes. And we're not talking about the O.J. Simpson types. I mean, actual
Chuck
good
Connors played
actors.
baseball with White Sox.
Pardon?
Chuck Connors was an athlete. He actually
Oh,
played professional baseball with the White Sox at one point.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Who? You remember who Archie Leach is?
Yes, that's Cary Grant.
Yeah. And Archie Leach was also the character that was Parker's
Yes,
mentor
I
in
picked up on that
Leverage.
because I always wondered if her name was Parker.
They don't know. Nobody ever knew if it was her first name or
Well,
last name.
right. But I always wondered if the writers made her name Parker because of her cat burglar skills, which is similar to parkour,
It could
or
be.
if it
You
was
know,
Parker in reference to something else. And I can't remember what it was now.
if you
But I
watch
think it had to
all the
do with
references,
being a thief.
at one time, Sophie's character's name was Emma Peel.
Yes, from
Oh
the
God!
original Avengers.
Oh, Diana Rigg. Even
Oh,
all
yes.
the way like,
And I'm sorry, but the movie they made,
they shouldn't have done that.
but I'm glad they did in a way because it brought the characters back into the forefront. But nowadays you say the Avengers, they think you're talking about the Marvel actors. They don't know
Yeah.
about those
Well, she
people.
was on the first season. I think she came in the second season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember I remember watching a lot of old British
But she
um
was as close to pornography as television was allowed to get. Just by being herself without and she was never undressed.
no.
Like her pants were tight, her shirts were
Hmm.
tight. As a young man, you're going,
Now that you mention it, Mud, I think you're right. Arsenic and Old Lace, which happens to be one of my, it's in like the top, if not number one, in the top five of my all-time favorite movies. Arsenic and Old Lace. Mud is right. There is a tombstone for Archibald Leach in the cemetery.
mm-hmm.
Cary Grant is another one that I used to really like, and I liked
I
the
never thought he was
characters.
a great actor. I thought he was great working with other people.
They say he wasn't that nice a guy, especially in his later years. But
See, yeah, it depends on who certain stars. Like
yeah,
you always
but
heard
you
Jimmy
also have to
Stewart was
consider
nice,
the
but what?
source sometimes. Yeah,
You always heard Jimmy Stewart was a great guy until he died. People loved Jimmy Stewart,
yeah.
and him
Well,
he loved it.
I think Jimmy Stewart was very careful about the roles he played on the most part, and I think that's why he appeared so likable. And now in real life, I don't know that much.
But then you see the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. He's completely out the other side of that.
Right.
He did a lot of turkey movies. He did that one, the Western, the Cheyenne.
I'm laughing at what Binary said.
Well, yeah, I know. Binaries used to be by now.
Well,
But should
I
be.
had some female crushes on
Well,
when
of
I was
course.
a kid. Um,
Angie
Bobby
Dickinson, our
Gentry.
police woman.
Pardon?
Angie Dickinson.
Um, I liked her character. I did not think.
I would see her on the Tonight Show or something else, and she'd always look like.
I think she would have been good as in a comedy now and then, because if like you said, when you see her on talk shows, she's for a while at least there were some that I saw where she had she was personable,
Yeah.
but I mean, but then
You know
again,
what
you have to think of the times, and even nowadays, I'm very, very critical. I'll watch something like Law and Order, and I'll see all these police detectives and stuff running around with these high heel shoes and stuff like that. And I said,
Yeah.
that's it's CSI, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You
See,
know,
I'm critical of with TV shows if they get the music in the wrong year.
yeah.
They'll
But
tell
like,
you something. It's a, this happened in 1966, and they play like a Rolling Stone. That was 1965. Get it right.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna go back for a minute to Leverage.
I
You
love.
know, they're
I
working
love
on
it.
bringing that back.
He's still in trouble, isn't he?
Yeah, and I'll tell you this:
I think it's a trumped up charge. I think it's like money
he's
laundering.
not going to be in the series, and I'm like this. I am one of those women who I'm all about calling out bad behaviors like he's accused of.
Yeah,
However,
this
you
happened a
look at,
long time ago. Now it
I was
happens.
going to say, it happened when he was what, 20, 21. And to my knowledge, and I've looked, and maybe I haven't found anything that might be out there, but I haven't found anything to indicate he's done anything in that regard ever again. There's no record that I've
Look,
ever seen.
if you did it once, it's bad.
And
Wait,
the victim admitted
wait,
that he apologized.
well, but
And
if you do something bad, you do something bad. I mean,
right, what I'm saying is the point being though is the behavior didn't continue.
yeah. But as in the
But
case
some of
of Bill
these
Cosby,
bigger names, at like whether you're a banker and a million, look at certain people we know who have, if you have money, you have a very prestigious name, or you're a famous act, very really
you
famous
know
act.
what?
All
That
these
doesn't
people,
matter now. They
they
took Bill
it
Cosby
keeps
down.
happening, keeps happening. Yes, Bill Cosby being one,
Did you
and
want to
I'm going to
believe it?
say
The
it.
first time you
Donald
heard that,
Trump
did you
being
want to believe
another.
it? Did you want
Sorry.
to believe Cosby, America's dad, did that? I grew up on Bill Cosby, and now
Well,
I can't watch Fat Albert. I can't listen to Bill Cosby because I know now it's like this man raped a lot of women.
I can to some extent separate the two, but at the same time now it's color. When I go back to watch their old stuff, it's colored by what I know now.
Well, I can't watch the Cosby Show, no,
Right,
and I love
which
the kid. I
I
can't
don't
watch it.
anyway, because I got burnt out on it when my kids were little.
I see. I saw it
So
later. I worked though. I worked a lot of
yeah,
years playing shifts, so I didn't see that or Cheers. So I caught all those
yeah,
later. But I grew up watching, like, of course, Fat Albert, and I watched reruns of I Spy, which was a revolution to have a black actor be a co-lead, and it wasn't a big
yeah,
deal. It was just him and
right.
Robert Culp had a good show, and the fact he was black was like, yes, so what?
And see, that's another one of my pet peeves. This is a little off subject. Taking some of these stuff, some of these things. What's that? I Spy,
I Spy was great.
right? Starsky and Hutch, and some of these other shows,
Starsky and
remaking
Hutch
them
sucked.
as a goofy movie instead of trying to pay tribute to the original
Well,
series.
it depends on who they are. Starsky and Hutch deserves no tribute. It was bad.
I enjoyed it as a teenager. I
Well,
mean,
you're female too. They had two male leads.
right. Well, actually, I like the car more than I like the guys, but
Do you watch that now? People have talked about there was like a gay element to them.
yeah, I could see why people. I didn't see it that way, but I could see that.
Yeah.
But I mean, but then again, I saw
Yeah.
um uh the blonde guy. What's his name?
Um,
David Soul.
David
I
Soul.
also know him as a singer,
Oh, I
even
hate.
though it was short
Oh
lived.
God. Oh God. Please
And
don't.
I saw him. I think the first time I really paid attention to him is when he did Salem's Lot.
The thing about sometimes you see people who have a hit song because they were an actor. This was John Travolta.
Yeah, I remember his. I
Um,
remember when he did a commercial. I remember when he did. Did you ever hear him when he was a teenager? Well, when he was doing the Welcome Back, Cotter, and he got his first album way back then.
oh yeah, that song was called "Let Her In."
Yes, I used to have
Well,
that album. Somebody gave it
well, of
to
course
me.
you did. You were a girl.
No, well, somebody gave it to me. It's like,
You had Sean
um,
Cassidy too, didn't you?
no, that's what I was getting to a while ago. Is that
Actually,
most of my
he did
friends were
sing.
listening to. My sister did listen to Sean Cassidy. My
Actually,
younger sister liked him. My older sister liked David Cassidy. Some of my friends were into Donny Osmond, and my older sister, I was complaining about how I didn't really like the music. That's when I started talking about radio stations and stuff.
well,
And
Sean
she
Cassidy,
introduced me to Alice Cooper, Steppenwolf, David Bowie, and Blondie.
bless her heart. Um,
Yeah,
well, the thing with Sean Cassidy, the first album was just straight up pop bubblegum. They didn't know what they were going to do with him. He did do
yeah,
it in a Carmen song, that's rock and roll, and he did a decent job on it. The second album, he actually wrote a couple of songs on there were good songs. One was called Teen Dream, about basically critiquing himself. It's like he's
yeah.
trying to be a serious musician, but his fourth album was produced by Todd Rundgren. Oh, Lost.
I
It
used
was
to love
really
Todd
good.
Rundgren.
And so Todd produced it. It's like half of it's covers, and Todd wrote some stuff for him. But you know what he did later on? He was on General Hospital.
Sean Cassidy was?
For like a year, yeah, one
Oh,
summer.
okay. I
And
didn't watch that
and
much.
then
So.
remember American Gothic?
Yes, I was going to bring that up. I was going to
He
bring that
wrote
up.
that. Yeah.
Mhm. He's still in the business
Yeah.
in the behind the scenes, and he's still a nice looking man.
And of course his brother's gone.
Yeah. See, and the problem they both had is, according to them, and especially with David in the beginning, I think Sean kind of thought it might be a little bit different with him, but because of his mother.
Shirley, yeah.
Yeah. But in the beginning, they were both basically told, more or less, you do what we want you to do for X amount of time, and then we'll help you do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Sean was really wanting to be an actor more than a singer,
Yeah.
but they wanted to fast track him to get the name out there, so they put him in a pair of satin pants and gave him a microphone. I mean, he wasn't a bad singer, but he just wasn't,
Well,
in my opinion, outstanding.
yeah, you can pull it.
David
Yeah.
wanted to do rock and roll, real rock and roll, not like
Well, he wasn't very good
Zeppelin
at
or anything like that, but I
it. He
mean
wasn't
a
very
little bit harder edge. And I think some of the stuff he did later was better than what he did with the Partridge Family, but he couldn't shake that image.
The one thing I remember he did was he did the theme song for John Larroquette's show. That
Did he?
show was so good, and nobody wanted to watch it because he wasn't being Dan Fielding.
I I think that was when I was in college, and I hardly ever watched TV.
Larroquette was on like in the late 90s.
Yeah, that's when I was in college. Well, I started college in 91, but I
Okay.
didn't go because I was like 30. I turned 30 right after I started college. Because when I was younger, I had an early, I got married right out of high school, had a baby, was a single mother for a long time. And then when I finally was able to go to college, my kids were a little older. But yeah, but when I was in college, I watched a lot of movies, but I didn't really watch regular TV. That makes
Uh,
sense. I
yes,
mean, I
hey,
remember him
no,
from
you're
Night
right.
Court, but
Jan Smithers was hot.
who?
Jan Smithers played Bailey on
Yeah,
WWD. Oh,
yeah. Everybody else liked Lonnie Anderson.
oh,
She
that
was one of
movie.
my crushes.
Because Lonnie Anderson is somebody I couldn't approach. I thought Bailey's hot, but that's somebody who would talk to me.
It was like when I was in high school, guys. I had buck teeth, thick glasses. I had the kind of hair, and I still have that in a way. It's just
Uh-huh.
longer, and I keep it up so you don't really see it though. It's like I can get it looking all really nice and brushed out and smoothed and styled and all that. And 5 minutes later, it's not quite curly, not quite straight, and it's going in different directions. And so I've always had kind of crazy hair, and it
Well,
it does better when it's short, but I don't like it short. Never have.
see, I cut mine short. Now it doesn't get as long as it used to, but it gets thick. It just goes anywhere. But I
Yeah.
started growing all this last year, probably through the fall, and I'm just not getting rid of it now. I'm almost 60. I put this on all my dating sites, which occasionally I get a nibble, occasionally I don't. Especially
Yeah.
now the divorce, I'm no longer this. Oh, you're separating. That's a toxic word for some people. Like
Well,
I spent the
I
last
was
30 years trying to compromise for a lot of people. Say I'm not compromising for anybody. You don't like me as I am. Take a hike.
Yeah, my dad told me one time I was too old to have hair, long hair, and I'm like, well, too bad.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it just never felt natural. It was easier to keep up with when it was like shoulder length, and it was probably more flattering looking back, but it didn't feel right. And now I just trimmed it up a little bit, so it's about 36 inches long now.
Here,
I'm
say hi.
sitting.
Say hi, Roxy.
Hello.
13 years old in April.
Oh.
Yeah. She wants out.
Oh yeah.
I'm out here.
Okay.
Who?
Yeah, I have
Yes, you're right.
I have a chow hound mix,
Uh-huh.
and he's a perpetual puppy. He's 3 years old, still acts like a puppy.
This one is the laziest dog in the world.
And I also have a boxer pit mix who is a diva.
Oh.
She thinks she's a princess, and she wants to be spoiled, and she is. And she's the boy is kind of an auburn color, and she is buff colored with gray eyes. Let me take a peek over here and see if I got any. How you feeling tonight, Binary?
I know what binary's saying. Does he ever shut up? No, I don't. I'm Irish and I'm Southern. I don't. And I don't get to talk all day. Nobody talks.
Jane Seymour. Oh yeah, I can totally understand that.
Oh, yeah. She's still beautiful.
Yeah. Who was it? Me and somebody else. I don't know if it was
the half Farah.
some guy I was talking to a while back, and we were talking about the movie Somewhere in Time.
Oh, it might be one of the first chick flick movies.
That was one of my mother's favorite movies.
The first one.
Yeah, but that's one of my favorite movies because it wasn't a great movie, and
No, it's not. It sucks.
but the idea of the story,
yeah,
is a good one.
Oh, I know, and it's definitely not. It's not a guy's movie. It's like you won't see a lot of women who like Roadhouse, which is a stupid movie, but I've watched it over.
I do. I probably like it for different reasons.
Do you like it more for Patrick Swayze or Sam Elliott?
Yes.
So, it's just like the movie's dumb, but it's just some of the lines always remain.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott's character. You can look at him and say, "Yep, that's a bouncer. That's a lifetime bouncer right there." The only thing we never learned was Dalton the first or last name.
Somebody else pointed that out.
Yeah,
because they called him Mr. Dalton. Somebody called him Mr. Dalton, but he never.
Yeah,
but
everybody called him Dalton. Even people like forget the blind musician who was in that movie.
Jeff Healey. He was also a crush.
Jeff Healey.
Yeah, he actually liked playing blue. He had that hit, Angel Eyes.
Yeah, but he was a blues player more or less.
Yeah,
if you get to do that in the movie, you get to play more of that kind of music.
Like you remember the band, the Stray Cats?
I saw them 3 times, like an 8-month period. Yeah.
Well, do you know Brian Setzer?
Yeah.
The blonde. You know, he's still out there. He produces orchestra.
I know,
mostly swing
I
music.
love Stray Cats. I mean, that was Brian Setzer.
But he's still out there doing it too, and I like his arrangements.
But to me, he's playing off that character he created. Now he's still
right. It's like a hipster swing, as I think, or rockabilly swing.
Yeah, I'll stick with Louis Prima.
Yeah. I've always had an unusual taste in men. I usually don't go for the pretty boys. I usually like the interesting guys more than the pretty boys. So I had can you still hear me? I appreciate you showing up, Binary. And this was really meant to be like like I said, a test drive to see if I could figure out how to use this stuff. But later on, I'm going to be doing some more streams. One of them is going to be a boomer stream. Like, I guess this is the boomer stream. I'm planning another one involving adult toys. No, I did not see him perform with Stevie Ray Vaughan, but I'm going to have to look that up. I'm sure that was amazing.
Who's that?
Binary was asked if I'd ever seen Jeff Healey perform with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I could see that happening. I saw Stray Cats. They were like a mid card on an outdoor festival, and then they played as a headliner in Reno. To me, it was just amazing that they could walk on the stage with all their stuff.
You remember? I think it was Britt Eklund.
Britt Eklund was Rod Stewart's girlfriend. Yeah, right,
and dated the bass player of Stray Cats for a long time. I think she was significantly.
How old was she then? 90?
No, I was thinking. I know. I'm not 100% sure it was Britt Eklund, but I think so. But I know she was significantly older, but still nice looking.
And not Baby Buell, who dated everybody else at one time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that much about the backstories of the Stray Cats, but like I was saying as you were walking away, when it comes to my attraction to guys, I will look at the pretty boys.
Yeah. Well, with them, it was
they won't keep my attention very long. I like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, when they came along, it was a complete reaction against overdone music. It was like they just took it right back to this very simple, upright bass, little drum set, and Brian Setzer.
But yeah, when it came to guys, even when I was a teenager in high school, I was more attracted to the interesting guys than the pretty boys. And I was on a stream. I don't know if you've ever heard of a lady called No Name.
I've seen her.
She's an interesting person.
Well, basically, I think she passes out.
Sometimes.
She was on Kenny for a while, and then I don't know if they had a falling out. A few people who used to come on Kenny all the time have been there.
She can get a little outrageous, but last night it was she had gone on somebody else's stream and she had shown an adult toy. And I'd seen a clip, and I went on that person's stream last night, and the subject came up again. We were talking about how we were laughing about how people didn't know what questions to ask without sounding silly, and all that,
Mhm.
and different things. And we got on the subject of adult toys, and I mentioned that I used to work in an adult toy store, but how I'm actually pretty conservative when it comes to my personal life and all that, except for the fact that for a while I had an open marriage. Now,
Uh-huh.
I will also say that during that time, by my own choice, I only had one other partner besides my
Mhm.
husband, and it was not with my husband. But I did have a boyfriend for a little while when I was around 51. He was 25, but
You
it was
cougar and
nice.
a half.
It was nice at that time, and it was short lived as far as the personal part. But as a friendship, we stayed friends for a good while. He was really good for my ego at that time, and I helped build his confidence. He helped build mine. It worked out in the long run for us both. He became friends with my husband. He's now married and happy, and you know, so I mean, I'm conservative when it comes to most things about my. I mean, I'm very, and the easiest way to say is I'm very vanilla compared to things that I know about and talk about and learn about, like working at the adult store. Most of the things
I
we
went through
sold,
enough of those.
most of the stuff we sold, I had never tried and probably never will. But I technically technically speaking, we all had to become certified sexologists, which basically means we researched and studied and had to be tested about our knowledge on the products. But that includes how they, not just what they were for, but how they work, the quality of the product, what it was made of, and the company that made them, and all that other stuff, not just slot A and slot B and all that kind of stuff.
Well, now you see, like, there's 30-minute infomercials for Adam and Eve products.
Right.
There's,
Well, see, that's one of the things I brought up is for a while people knew about Adam and Eve and they
yeah,
knew about what they sold, but not how to take care of them, not necessarily exactly what
yeah.
all they could be used for besides the obvious. There are a lot of things that people would think, oh, this is just for the man or just for the
Mhm.
woman, but there's a lot of stuff that can be for both. Nowadays, they have programmable. You can download apps for certain products and
I'm,
things,
wa-
so you
I'm
can.
waiting for the first vibrator that runs on Wi-Fi.
Pardon?
I'm going to invent a vibrator that runs only on Wi-Fi.
Only on Wi-Fi?
Yeah,
Well, they do run off cell phone apps.
but I think that'd be funny. Say Wi-Fi's
Yeah.
out. All right, you're done.
The problem with these though is a lot of them can be hacked if you know what you're doing. If you can hack a cell phone, you could probably hack these products.
Uh-huh.
And some of them also have remote. And one of my favorite things to show people
Right here.
were the remote control rings for the men
Mm-hmm.
and the remote control toy that goes in a special made undie or underwear for the lady.
Uh-huh.
And that can be also programmed with an app.
Let me put her back up. Put her back up.
Oh,
Go, baby.
what's her name? But yeah, binary. I had to learn a lot about the products, but I didn't use a whole lot of them. I'm not gonna say I didn't. I didn't buy. I'm not gonna say I didn't buy any of them because that would be dumb. But
Her name is Roxy. Really
oh,
original.
Roxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
I
girl's
wanted to
name
name
is
her. I wanted to name her Sweet Polly.
her official name is, well, according to my husband, Princess Athena, um, Beefcake Fluffy Bottoms. Oh, Beefy
Oh,
Cupcake Fluffy Bottoms.
well, I wanted to
Although
name her
she's not
Sweet Polly
fluffy.
after the character in Underdog.
Uh, and ours is Apollo, but I call him Paulie with a
Mm-hmm.
U. And I can't remember it, but it's like Apollo something Esquire the third. And I'm like, Esquire means lawyer. He's not a lawyer. He
Yeah,
said, well, she's not a princess either, but we can say it if we
that
want
means he's
to.
of British nobility. He can't be here in America. He's practicing maritime. Yeah, have you seen Law Talk with Mike yet?
Who's that? Law Talk with?
With Mike, he's from Chicago.
I don't think so. I watched.
He's
What's?
gotten into he has like three different. He does solves in court, at car stops, and now his new thing is sovereign citizen squad, with people who go out there and stop sovereign citizens. So of course, P. Barnes was on it.
Auditors.
Yeah, but it was funny because I sent him Ernie. He's now had Ernie on twice, and he's like, and I texted him and said, "Look, listen. When Ernie was saying he's foraging for food, Ernie had lots of money in a nice house. Ernie is just an asshole."
Yeah.
But he had never seen him. And same thing with Natalie, and Natalie lawyer chick had never seen like Chauncey. I sent her Chauncey. She had to do it right away.
Well, see, I've been watching Emily Baker, the lawyer.
I haven't seen her.
But she has so many people in her stream, and it goes by so fast. I usually watch it on repeat. I don't usually go to live.
How big some of these get. Like I remember Natalie. I was probably one of the first 400 on her her channel. We had over 14,000 people watch a live stream yesterday.
I can believe it. I can believe it.
She is very personable. She's smart. She's nice as can be.
Doesn't she have like shoulder length hair?
She's black with shoulder length hair. She has a nice husband,
Pretty.
Very
yeah, I have seen her before. Because there's a couple of female lawyers.
Yeah.
But her and Emily are the only ones that really come to mind. And there's a Nate the lawyer. I watch him from time to time, and there's another guy that works with him that's kind of balding. Not works with him, but they collaborate sometimes.
Joe the lawyer. Joe Paul. It's the bane of Devin's existence, Joe.
Yeah. I follow him on Facebook, and
really
that's right.
You know what? From what he started at to what he is now, his personality has really come through.
Yeah.
And I love these streams when you get like OP lawyer. I've only seen him on his face a couple of times, but he's friends with Schrodinger. The Schrodinger will have him and Natalie and Artie on at the same time, and watching Saab set videos is just hilarious because every time they do something, it's like, no, here's the law, you jackass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Dejan's another one of those people that I see cross over into different communities. Because I'm
worried about Dejan right now.
Huh?
I'm worried about Dejan.
I am too. I've been in private message with him a few times, but it's usually about a specific. No, it's usually about a specific issue. Has nothing to do with
but he has
our personal lives.
He's going away.
It's usually like, hey, I heard about this person, and you might want to check it out or whatever. And I don't know anything really about what's going on behind the scenes, except that he does seem to be
depressed,
stressing out. Yeah, or stressed and depressed.
And he's stressed and depressed, and he posted yesterday he was going to be off YouTube for a while.
Yeah,
and
I was expecting that.
Yeah, I have a theory. But then somebody will run with it, and
right. I got you.
I think I know when it started.
Okay. Well, my thing is, I don't see eye to eye with him on some things.
I don't either.
But I think he's a very insightful, talented, nice person.
Well, him and
overall, my experience with him.
Him and Van, not so much Van. Van is like straight up. He'll put blurbs, words on the screen. DJ's really the father of all this cut and paste video thing.
Right.
With the little comedy memes in there. I told him one time, I said, I think you need to get a different face palm wide stick because OJ Simpson's in it, and I don't think we should have OJ in anything.
Yeah. Are you familiar with?
I'm sorry, I can't handle it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with emo?
Schemo?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
Gary Snowflake owns his ass.
me and DJen were in one of his streams one time. I don't remember what got me over there, but we made him go off just by a couple of sentences.
Oh, you're
And DJen was
crazy.
already saying something, and something came up about being scripted, and we're like, I can't remember which one of us started it. I think DJen did, and said, I think I see the script right there. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that it right there on the left of his desk? And we kept, saying stuff like that, and Emo just went off on
Oh,
him. He
well,
totally ignored me and went off on DJen.
what Gary Snowflake has done to him, he now lives rent free in his brain.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I actually
Dragnot
get to realize,
Silvis is another one. That Plantation Man song that he just did is about my friend Drag. That Emo
uh,
did. He did a very racist song called Plantation. Dragnot is one of those people that it's kind of like a lot of other people we know. You got to know how to take him, and he's not for everybody. But I enjoy his content on the most part, except every now and then it tends to get a little monotonous as far as who he's doing content on. But there are other people he collaborates with, and I watch their stuff sometimes. And so I'm going to the commentary communities, the drama communities. I'll follow the legal communities, what they call the tea communities, which is basically gossip. Some I don't really watch the beauty communities, but I'll follow the animals. And there's a lot of different ones
I
I
have
pop into from now and
I
then.
have unusual things I want. Well, because I'm unusual to begin with. I started on this in 2019 because I was sick. Back when the Crohn's was really raging before they had a handle on it.
Yeah. Hold
Yeah,
1 second.
yes.
Yes, Binary. I gave up on Devin because he was stressing me out, even though he only brought me up once or twice. Um, he did wish me AIDS and cancer and all that other good stuff because I offered him $1 to eat another booger.
Oh, we a lot.
But yeah,
We
Emo, I
turned.
don't watch him directly. I only watch Emo through other people's stuff anymore. I think I'm still banned from his stream from last year. So go ahead.
Oh,
I'm
the other
sorry,
night
Sean.
we were on with Chuck and Roland was there and Kenny Klein was there. And Kenny enjoyed it because he didn't have to, watch the chats or anything. He just got to have fun. We
Right.
sent him over to Devin's stream.
Oh Lord.
And he logged on, he socked counted him, and we told Chuck, okay, now you have to go see the Resistance. Resistance is the first one I've ever seen banned on Kenny Klein. Kenny had it. He had it with him.
Is that the one who yelled at
Yeah.
Ms. Jarhead? Yeah.
So that was
Even
Mr. L. No, that was Mr. L.
oh, okay. Because
Mr. L's
even
the one I
on
took off
Omaha,
up there.
Omaha pisses me off a lot.
Omaha.
But
No,
he
he's a
can be
moron, but you know what?
funny.
I'm tired of him.
He can be funny now and then when he wants to be.
No, he's not funny.
But like I said, I've only seen him in other people's streams. I don't watch him personally. I don't even watch Masshole all that much sometimes. It just I get in these moods lately where I just don't want to see the same old all the time. So
I watch
I'll just
Masshole because I like Kate. I really like Kate. And I like this guy I've gotten from her down, this Duffy Doyle. I like him a lot because basically he wants to beat the shit out of Glenn.
yeah, I like Kate. I don't necessarily like a lot of people she likes.
Yeah, if she keeps the panel down to like 3 to 4 people, it's a lot easier for her to handle.
Yeah, Doofy has a channel now. I go to his stream under my sock account. I'll go to his stream every now and then.
I forget the name of your sock account because you took it on to Justin one night.
I've got a couple.
Okay.
Bad Juju is one of them.
Bad Juju. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say about Justin is that remember when I got all that flack for timing out Kimball or somebody, and then I think it was Kimball that they kept timing out over and over and over again. And it was like when I did it, it was malicious and I was being a bitch and I was being the C word and all this other stuff. When they did it, it was technical difficulties. But I think it was Shelley doing it.
Remember, they came on Canadian Trash's stream and timed all of us out.
Yes. Yes, this
And he
was.
didn't. And so I told him, and Jarhead told him, he said, I'll watch it. Next time they did it again, I said, CT, I know you're friends with Vilified. And so I'm choosing my words carefully. But if
Mhm.
those are your friends, I have nothing to do with you. Because basically, because they gave
And
you money, so you all
yes,
friends
if
with
you
them. You know
notice,
what?
he stopped going over to Vilifieds and he started collabing with Justin.
Which didn't last because Justin burned him out too.
Thank you, Binary. I think you're pretty too. I'm just kidding. I don't know what you look like, but I do
Um,
like you a lot.
I've seen Comfort Doll. She's a very lovely lady.
Oh, thank you.
You know that.
I've got my hair up and I'm sweaty or else I'd be on camera. And my lighting
I look like I don't.
sucks.
Yes, this is my white fluffy robe. This was actually a women's robe
I
that
have a
was hanging
red
in a
fluffy
closet.
robe.
It was hanging in a closet, and because Stephanie had bought it, Stephanie is very busty, and she just couldn't fit in it right.
Yeah.
So I also said, you'd wear that? I said, I'm almost 60. What do I care? So when I stream now, like Chuck has seen it, Kenny sees it.
Yeah. I missed the Binary was talking about he stopped watching them after they had their meltdown on VF's channel. I missed that part. I heard about it.
Yeah, I
I
heard it.
checked
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
VS
looked
and I
for it.
texted on Instagram about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But was it Binary? I mean not Binary, sorry. Was it VF's channel or
What I heard was
might have been
Shelly
CT's channel.
basically
Somebody came
challenged
in
him.
there under there was another Shelly in there.
She had like three
And
names.
yeah.
I
And she
love
kept
marshmallows.
swearing it was
Yeah.
one of us.
No, he knew
You
better.
know.
He says those two crackheads. I can't prove they're on crack, but they're drunk. The
I
question is,
figured that's who he was talking about. And I will give VF respect because he never called them out by name that I ever saw when
well,
he
he
was
did
talking
later
about
on.
that.
He just named names and went out.
Because
You know,
I actually went to him privately and said, it's not really my business. I'm not, a as deep a Christian as you are or anything like that, but I'm a believer. These people need help. They need some prayer. They need something. And just be careful because there's something wrong there.
oh, well, that one
It's either
video,
mental or chemical or both, but there's something wrong. Please be careful. And he kind of, in a nice way, told me to mind my business, but
he
didn't say
found
it
out.
like that.
He found
But,
out.
but yes, he figured it out. I mean, like I said, he was very nice about it, but he basically said,
Well,
I know what I'm doing. Kind of mind your business. I think I know who they are. Blah blah blah. All that.
no, he
He
didn't.
wasn't rude at all or anything
None
like
of us
that.
knew that. I mean, and we loved Shelly, and Justin was our guy, and was our Cub Master. We all danced around the fire with him. We
Yeah.
didn't see this.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
enjoyed Justin's channel in the beginning. I don't even remember how I
I
first went there,
I've
but
watched I've watched some of his old stuff about a month ago, like 2-3 years
mhm,
ago. First, when he didn't have people on panels, he had people in chat, but he wasn't talking to anybody. Doing a great job. Just
yeah.
funny as captivating as could be. I miss
I
Bailey. Bailey should
remember
have her own
when
channel.
I remember when Cauliflower in the beginning when I started going in, Cauliflower would pop in from time to time. And someone said that she was one of his exes, that they dated, it didn't work out, they
Mm-hmm.
stayed friends kind of thing. I checked out her channel for a while and she was a little there were some of her not streams, but some of her videos themselves were interesting because there were some like helpful hint type things and some of them, were
Mm-hmm.
different subjects and all. But her live streams and panels were kind of odd. Like she wasn't quite touching all the bases or
There.
something.
Yeah.
But
I
but
mean,
people
you
had
look at
their
some of
off
the things we
days
covered.
and
We had such an eclectic gathering of clips. We had our
yeah,
usual sob sits and auditors and all that, but we had Big Town Monk.
hey,
Gentlemen, people don't get
he
that
was
reference. Only people who watched that get it.
yeah.
Gail. A month of
Like when
Gale's
we
what killed that channel.
I can go
Gail Awareness
over
Month killed it.
when I hear excuse the language, I know you won't mind, but like if I was to go somewhere and say, "Oh, Chucklefuck's at it again," only a few
I
people
teach
would get it.
everybody that word. I teach everybody that name.
Now most people I know call him Ass Elmo.
Yeah, but I've told him also said we call it. I wanted to write it. Well, Roland played his Chuckle Fuck song the other night.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Where aren't you worried about copyright?" I said, "Copyright. I wrote it." Okay. You know, I wanted to do something called HR Chuckle Fuck, like HR Puff and stuff. I couldn't write the rest of the song.
That would have been good.
HR
That would have been good.
Fuck. What do you do when you don't give a fuck? HR Chuckle
Yeah,
Fuck.
we were talking this other girl, Shelly, that goes by Anarchic Chick. She makes the other Shelly seem very pulled together. She's very airhead. There is something wrong with her. She's 44 years old, but she reasons like a child. She's not unintelligent, but she's admittedly
She's
off of
daffy.
her medication.
Yeah.
And she's one of these can't we all just get along kind of people.
We can't. No, you can't always get
And
along.
she means well, but she's not realistic and everything. But she had Will Turbot on her channel not too long ago, a couple of times, and talk about how wonderful and intelligent he was and everything. And I'm like, he's just as imbalanced as you are.
Well, when Kenny had Turbot on, and I was going to go up in the panel, but then Morgan got him. After Morgan got him, there was no reason to go up there and even exacerbate. Morgan's already killed him.
I wish I could bring Morgie into some of the channels I watch.
Oh, she was on, I guess, Duffy Doyle, the guy from New York that's friends with Kate. He got on a panel on Kenny with Morgie, and he's smitten.
He's on Doofy sometimes.
I know he's also on Matt's Hole.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the guy. I mean,
I think I've been following him on Facebook too.
Yeah, because he wants Glenn in the ring, which will take 5 seconds to win. 2 shots. He hits Glenn hits 4.
That's what, like I said, most of the times when I'm over in the A1 auditors, people, the people who comment and socialize with the auditors, like I said, I'm usually under one of 2 sock accounts that I use. And
there are certain channels I got tired. I like Sancho, and Sancho likes me. We got along decently, but it was just too many assholes over there.
Well,
but the night he got Abrams was classic.
I used to like
Boy was hosting.
Yeah.
And he didn't know Sancho was there.
I missed that. But I'll tell you this about Sancho. I think that he could have had a really good stream if he didn't try too hard to get in with the wrong crowd. Yeah, the people he thought would get him somewhere are the ones that are dragging him down now.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't been on like in 3-4 weeks. Now, he had some interesting streams so far. People got upset. The night he had that male porno actor on.
I was there for some of that.
That was fascinating.
It was.
And then that's what inspired me to. Sexologist. I mean, it wasn't titillating. She was just straight up. Here's the facts.
Right. It was the way he presented it was. I mean, there was a little bit of tee-hee here and there, but the way he presented it was like, these are things that people wonder about, and here's your opportunity to ask questions. That's why.
And for male performers in porn, now I don't know how it is now because I see porn now. It's like they're all inflated breasts, little air valves on them. They're all blonde and they all look exactly the same. I was a classic porn guy in the 70s and 80s.
See, my husband's one of those that when he does watch it, he actually prefers amateur sometimes because it seems more real. But he doesn't watch a lot of the ones we've watched together. There used to be a video store that had a section of
everybody did had a little curtain went behind
of comedy porn.
Uh-huh.
And we watched a couple of those, and there was 1 or 2 that actually had a theme and costumes and half decent actors. And technically, I wouldn't really have considered it a porn per se, but rather a very adult version.
There was a few of those in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. I mean, the certain actresses. The person who always fascinated me was Juliet Anderson. And Peg. She
Well, I don't
started
know.
when she
I don't know most of them by
okay,
well
well,
enough
she
to
had
know the
short
names.
blonde hair. She basically screwed anything that moved. But she started when she was 39.
Ah,
And
well,
I
this
can't
is
even
something else.
imagine that now.
So we were talking about, that's another thing we were talking about with No Name is her OnlyFans. No, not OnlyFans, Chatterbait. She has a Chatterbait site.
Okay.
And she was telling us, about that and everything. And, but the way she was explaining it, she's kind of goofy and everything. But if you listen to what she's actually trying to tell
I
you,
tried to do that one night.
I think like last night she was a little more lucid than she is otherwise. I stopped watching when she got on the thing about um what is it, circumcision, baby circumcisions, because
I
she'll
didn't hear
rant
that. I
she'll
missed
rant
that.
on that for hours and hours and hours, and I have never had to make that decision because my son was already in preschool whenever I met him. So but
She didn't have
anyway,
the Pauline Ritchie theory, did she?
not that I remember, but when she was talking about all this stuff, and I was talking about how, like I said, I was talking about knowing about all these products and what they do and how they work and what they're for and all that, and that I also used to be very friendly with people in a fetish community. And I was on a fetish site. It's called FetLife,
I've heard of that.
and I was considered very vanilla. Chatterbait is kind of like OnlyFans.
Oh, I know what Chatterbait is. I
Well,
know what they all
Binary was asking, where you can get a subscription to either communicate or watch someone. In some cases, they will be nude and they will do certain things or perform certain acts. Some people get tips. You know, I don't know a whole lot about it except what I'm told. I've never been to OnlyFans or Chatterbait, but I've heard people talk about it. Omegle, I'm not familiar with Omegle,
Well, you
so.
accuse Artie of having an OnlyFans channel.
Well, actually, when I was that's what I was coming to. Whenever I was in the fetish groups, I was actually a member of a group called "I'm a Sub to My Cats,"
Hmm.
and it wasn't kinky. It was just we talked about
Yeah,
cats
yeah.
because that's what a lot of because there are some people that were in there that basically said, this is a BDSM site. You don't really belong here. And other people were like, no, it says fetish. It doesn't say BDM life. BDSM life. It says fetish life, fet life.
Yeah, that's like Second
Um,
Life, right? They run neck and neck with each other. Or
yeah,
Second Life still around?
right. Well, and that what got me on that site, like I said, was my friends telling me that they had, they were in the lifestyle and to check this out, tell us what we thought, all that kind of stuff. And another friend said I made friends with him because he said that was the only website or social site that would allow him to have a page up about his pagan stuff, his Wiccan and pagan stuff at the time.
Now
And
everybody's got those on theirs.
right, but this was 90s,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Well,
Some of
it
the stuff
began in the
now I see
90s.
is just like Fuda. What?
Yeah. But back in the day, um, I used to have this thing, I still do, have a thing for guys with long hair. Of course, I fall in love with a camouflage cowboy who had, you
Yeah.
know, until I met him, he never had hardly anything longer than, a military cut most of his
Mhm.
life. He did eventually grow his hair out to his shoulders a year or so ago, but he didn't really like it. And he did it for me. And once he did it, I'm like, okay, thank you. And I could tell he was ready for it. He liked it for a little while and then decided it was time to cut it.
Some
And I said,
people
okay,
cannot get out of
yeah,
certain habits. Yeah.
right. But the point I was getting to was that I got offers whenever people would, because there were a couple of pictures of me, not nude or anything like that, but um, but like body shots
Hmm.
that were in a group of other people, didn't show my face, but they saw my long hair. And so people would say, hey, you can go to this site or go in this room or that room, and there are hair fetish groups and things like that. And I was offered money to go on a site, and I can't remember the name of it, but I don't think it was Chatterbait or OnlyFans. And they said that there were people there who would pay me to watch me brush my hair on camera.
Yes.
I wouldn't even
Oh,
have
yeah.
to take my clothes off, but if I did, I'd make money, make more money. I'm like, well, I'm shaped like an M&M. So
But it doesn't
you ever,
matter. It's the hair.
you know,
It's
and they're
really
like,
satisfying the hair.
and I said, and I'm way over 50.
Okay.
And that's what I ended up telling people last night. You name a kink or you think of one, there's probably a website or a group or a fetish
Yeah.
for it. You know, and I like that, even though a lot of things that my friends were involved in, I was not interested in, but I didn't judge it. I was like, hey, that's interesting. It's like I like a lot of bondage gear, but I'm not into bondage. I just like the leather, the studs, and all that. It's nothing I would personally wear, but I like looking at it because I think it's cool and interesting and out there and that
Living
kind
in
of thing.
Reno, like I did, like for 8, 9 years, most of the '80s, I lived in Reno. Reno's got a big gay community because it's not that far to San Francisco from there. And I was there, and I was working. Basically, I learned who gay people were. I didn't really know. I knew what they were, but it became like, yeah, whoopee, whoopee, whoopee. One of them was funny as hell because he could tell I was still learning how to. I'm like 19 at the time, learning how to work with gay people. What jokes can you tell? What can you? It's like the early '80s, so we didn't have political correctness yet. He looked at me and says, Sean, most gay men do not find you attractive. And
I
that was
disagree.
so funny. It was just a totally disarming thing. But I was there when AIDS started.
Oh, okay. You talk
And,
about back in the day. Okay.
yeah, back in the day. And boy, you talk with him, he said, the party's over. Said for a lot of the older ones, said, that's it, party's over. Because we don't said nobody has taken care of themselves for years, and they knew
Well,
some of them were going to die, and some of them did later
the
on.
the problem was it's like the Tuskegee experiments.
Mm-hmm.
They withheld a lot of information because it was, excuse the expression, because it was only a bunch of queers.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's the way they looked at it, that they didn't bother trying to, I mean, that's simplifying it,
it was simplifying it, and
but but
it was
it's
just
like,
novel that it was a community that got it,
yeah. And
and part of it was their behavior.
there's a movie that people should see called Pride, and I'll get into that in just a minute, but I want to address Binary. Binary said, "Oh, for fuck's sake," and I was trying to figure out what he meant with that, and he says, "Sounds like those licking ASMRs." Yeah, I don't like ASMR stuff either. It's like that's smacking sounds, eating sounds, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's amazing, and I think it's
If it's
more.
a dog or a cat or a baby, it's
Yeah,
cute. If it's
well,
an adult
it's
or a
fetish.
teenager, it grosses me out.
I don't think it's so much hetero fetish, but I think of gay fetish. And I think there's a lot more. Like I used to know the entire handkerchief code just because Daniel taught me one time.
One second. Binary was asking about that football behind you.
Oh, that football right there. That is a New Orleans Saints promotional football from Super Bowl 44, and that's a paper mache cow skull up there.
Well, Binary, I don't consider your ASMRs in the same category as like the licking and the eating ones and all that. There are some sounds that I find very pleasant and soothing or energizing and all that, but like liquid sounds, it depends. Like rain, I like, but eating, drinking, slurping, no, nothing involving eating.
Yeah, I have rain apps on my phone that are if I can't. Now my some people use like meditation music at night. I use Miles Davis.
I used to have an alarm clock. It was a combination alarm clock, CD player, and it said nature sounds, but it had other sounds. But it was like rushing water, rainfall, thunderstorms, birds singing, crickets, those kinds of things. And because I'm one of those people, I need noise to sleep. If it's too quiet,
Yes, I leave my.
even when I'm awake, if it's oh, and by the way, if I get too loud, let me know. I have a slight hearing
I'm
issue.
downstairs. I'm down. Everybody's upstairs.
Okay.
That's how we coexist in a house divided. I mean, really, it's
Yeah.
a split level house. It's a big house, And
You are not the first person I've ever met that shared a home
you know what? And I had to
like that.
explain to somebody, well, you desperate for, say, no, no, I'm not desperate. I,
My
I'm the person who's least likely ever going to get scammed because I believe everybody's an asshole.
my parents, a few years after they got divorced, I'll try to make this short. When I was growing up, we lived in a trailer. Well, it's not a trailer park like you see nowadays, but we call it a subdivision.
Hmm.
And they were usually fairly big, separated lots and everything. We had 3 lots, which I guess would be like a quarter of an acre, half an acre, something like.
That's
Anyway,
rich in trailer park world.
um, but yeah, but it was right down the road from brick houses and things like that. Small southern town by the coast, kind of fishing village kind of place. Um, but when my parents divorced, he gave my mother 2 lots, and no, my mother got the property, and later he bought one of the lots from her and bought the adjoining lot to that one, because the trailer that we lived in, on the inside it looked like a house, but on the outside, it was 2 trailers put together. But anyhow, our home was on the center lot, so he bought one of the lots and bought the adjoining lot. So he had 2 lots and she had 2 lots, and they lived next door to each other with his new wife and her new husband, and they got along great.
I have met families like that.
In fact, when my mother got in a car accident, when my oldest daughter was a toddler and I was living in the next town over, my stepmother is the one who helped my mother with her daily care until she could do it for herself, because she had only been married a short time and she was a very modest lady,
Hmm.
and she had memory issues because of the accident, and she couldn't remember her husband as being her husband. She was having to get to know him all over again, and she was relatively young. She was younger than I am now. But anyway, my stepmother, she kind of remembered, and my stepmother would be the one to help her bathe and everything every day, and make sure she got fed and took her medicine and all that kind of stuff. And then later on, when my stepmother had a child with my dad, my mother would babysit for them, when they were
It
working and
works.
stuff.
It works. It works. It's like
And when she passed away, we listed my brother by my dad
Mhm.
as her grandson, because he always called her nanny, just like my kids did. She was emotionally a grandmother to him, so we listed him as one of her grandchildren. And nobody, I mean, everybody in the family related to us knew the deal, but nobody else. I mean, we didn't have to explain it, because it was like a lot of other families and stuff. It's not about the bloodline; it's about the heart line.
Yeah.
So it's like my daughter's dad is in the hospital right now. He's having a lot of health issues. Some of them, I hate to say it like this, some of them he brought on himself, um, because of things that he does, chemicals and alcohol and things like that.
Hmm.
But my son lives around the corner from him, so he goes and checks on him now and then. And he's friends with my husband, and I call and check on him, see how he's doing, because I don't like him all that much. I mean, I'm not crazy about him because he's a bigot, but he's family. He stayed friends with my family, after we got over our hurt feelings and stuff, and matter of fact, the very first family party my husband ever attended, both my exes were there. And so was my dad. So were both of my dad's exes at the time, and and then my husband, his wife's family was his only family for a long time. So when I came into the picture, they kind of eventually brought me into their family. So we were, but I had good examples set for me. And in the beginning, hit the other I call it the Camden family, because it's Camden County, Georgia.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, they were a little suspicious that I was, not resentful of them and everything. They were kind of standoffish until they realized I wasn't trying to take him away from them, and that I basically had to tell them in nicer way, he divorced her, he didn't divorce y'all. I get that. he's still your family and you're still his family. And as long as y'all want it that way, I'm not going to interfere with that. Except when it came to the treatment of my son, because at the time he was undiagnosed ADHD and he was the problem child. And I stood up for him, and that caused some friction for a little while. And we worked through it. We'll just say that.
Hey,
But yeah,
tell them, if I talk about ADHD, my daughter has it. My daughter has been on medication since she's probably 7. My daughter graduated 3.85 magna cum laude from Pepperdine last year and has a job already. She interned in New Jersey in 2019, and then she's now working for that company here. And eventually, when they finally open their offices back up, she'll move there. And I guess Stephanie's going to go back east with her because Stephanie's her home office for what she does. She doesn't work out of Charlotte. But it'll be easier for her to get in and out of Charlotte to where the main corporate office is. Actually, the main office is in Sweden, and she's waiting for that trip.
I'm reading what Binary wrote.
I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, Binary, when my parents were together, they were young. They had my older sister at 18, and I'm the middle daughter of 3 daughters born all 2 years apart. Years after my dad remarried, he had a son, and then years later had another son with a friend. We'll just call her a friend because they weren't in a relationship, but they saw each other, but they weren't in a committed relationship. But they're still friends. They were still friends until he passed away. But anyway, so now it's like me and my sisters are all in our mid to late 50s. I have a brother who's in his 30s and a brother who's in his early 20s. So I've got a niece and a daughter older than, well, actually, all my kids but one are older than my youngest brother. No, actually, all of my kids are older than my youngest brother, and 2 of my kids are older than the other brother. Because my daughters are 38 and 34, no, 38 and 32, and my bonus kids are 26 and 24, and my youngest brother's 22. So we've got a very strange family, but it works.
That's one of the things I thought about with Justin and Shelley, the short time, that I actually watched them, is that I never heard, she would talk about her daughters on Facebook. She posted a picture, and she was very proud of them.
Yeah.
I never saw that. You would think that one time they would have had one of the daughters in a shot with them.
There was one daughter she mentioned on the streams from time to time, and that's it. She mentioned her brother. She mentioned one daughter.
She has 4 daughters. I know that, but none of them ever came up in conversation during those streams.
No. I mean, I had a very contemptuous relationship with my dad some of the times. We butted heads a lot. But overall, he was a good dad, and we were a family. We acted like, there were times when I didn't like him, but I still would call and check on him. And,
I remember some of the things she said last year. Like, well, she'll get her ex-husband to investigate you. It's like, I don't think he's going to help you.
Number one, I did I'll just say me and some others did some snooping, and I agree with you. As a matter of fact, there are other people involved with some issues involving her ex-husband who have a lot of issues with her because of some very slanderous things that she said and all that.
But his buddies weren't going to help her. It's like, you divorced.
Oh, no.
Guess what? You ain't going to cross that blue line, lady.
And she was not protected like she was. Because number one, if you're in a protected status and you're driving around and you're with a video camera and you're showing the neighborhood you live in and the name of the apartment complex and this, that, and the other, they're going to shut you down real fast if you're under somebody, police protection or witness protection, whatever. And I love how she said that they were in the upper echelon of Austin society.
No, they're not.
And then she would talk about the sprinklers didn't work, the heater didn't work, the AC kept going out, they had a rat. It's
Mm-hmm.
like
See how
another
big that
couple
in this
online.
government, yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever heard about Shanny for Christ and her husband, quote unquote, Rev. They call them Rev
No.
and Shanny. Anyway, they're just ridiculous human
Well,
beings, if you can
they
call it
got
that.
that
But
coming
they're
up with.
that they're that kind of people that look what we have, look what we're doing. We can, we're living off of this, and this. And then when the money starts getting low, all of a sudden it's like, well, we did all of this for everybody else, and now you're supposed to help us. We need your help now. And it's like, that's because you wouldn't get off your asses and take either, you wouldn't live within your means, plan for the future. you know she did eventually go back to work, but I don't see how.
See, that's
And
what I was wondering. If you have somebody that you suspect of having chemical problems, and
yeah,
you're letting them loose in the pharmacy of the hospital,
yeah, I even have suspicions that her mother's fall, I'm not going to say she did anything to her,
no, I don't
but
think
she
so
said
either.
her mother tripped and fell over some stuff that was in the way, and you saw how the house was kept.
Yeah, she tripped over
So
the
I
mess,
I
basically.
strongly suspect that it was because it was so cluttered, and it didn't look like that when Justin first moved in there. I
No,
mean, not as bad.
no.
And yeah, binary. My father was not an alcoholic or anything like that, but he was a very mean, in my opinion. Well, let me put it this way: I butted heads with my dad for a long time. Eventually, I learned to understand him, and that helped. He was a very damaged person, and but he'd had a lot of the same kind of behaviors as an alcoholic would have, and well, some of the toxicity that addicts and alcoholics have on their families and stuff like that. And, I was always the oddball anyway. And even though he and I had some things in common as far as interests, our viewpoints were very, very different. He could not get over the fact that I would not change my way of thinking to suit his. And so, like I said, up until the last few years of his life, we always had issues.
I was that way with my mom eventually too. It's a Now I'm a centrist, and she just kept getting further and further and further right. Not, I'm not going to say all. She definitely wasn't all right. Breitbart was not all right. At least Andrew Breitbart. Now, what happened after he died? They took that over and went further out, but he was not like that. He was a strong proponent of the log cabin Republicans, that they had a
Yeah.
place at the table at the CPAC. That was not him. But Bannon, took it over. But there's times like she would say, and Obama's one of the guys said, it doesn't matter who the president is, if the country will take care of itself. Yeah, we just had Captain Queeg. And I look at Trump, anybody who understands the King Mutiny understands who Captain Queeg is. And Trump is Captain Queeg. Paranoid as hell.
Yeah.
But you can't blame everything on him.
I agree. Off the side just a little bit. Binary, um, you say, I'm sorry you went through it. I'm not going to say I had an unhappy childhood per se. I mean, like I said, my dad, I may have blown it out a little bit because I was thinking about something that happened recently and it made me mad. He wasn't a horrible person. Um, he was just very hard to get along with. He was, like I said, he had toxic attitudes and he was a bigot and things like that. And but as far as being a dad, on the most part, he was a good dad. Um, or he tried to be. He tried to be.
My
My,
stepfather was a good guy, and
you know,
we got along better as I got older, and I wasn't in the house. I think he liked me more because I didn't live there. We got along better. But I tell people, said basically it's simple. I grew up watching Andy Griffith, but I was an Opie and he was an Andy.
right. Well,
He
like I
just
said,
wasn't that kind of person.
my dad was one of those that it's like he wanted us to stay little girls all of our life where he was concerned. So even when as an adult, he always wanted to tell us what to do, especially me. He thought and I was for a long time, I was kind of naive and kind of not a strong person. And he wasn't the only person to tell me what to do. I tend to attract those people until I met till my last ex. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
But my dad wasn't a horrible person. He just wasn't easy to get along with. And you know, I would say he was really hard on my older sister because they were so much alike. And my younger sister, he was way too easy on. And I was in my own little world because I was a bookworm. So, I didn't have like a terrible childhood. I just like, we didn't get along good most, like once I was a teenager, he was always telling me stuff like, you can't be just, even though I had always had guy friends, he would always tell me as a teenager, you cannot be just friends with guys. It just won't happen. They'll never think of you as a buddy because you're a female. And I'm like, Dad, look at me. I am not, you know, the beauty queen. I'm never going to be prom queen, or I'm not that girl. I'm not the cheerleader, that kind of thing. I am the tomboy, one of the guys, on the most part. As a matter of fact, guys used to tell me all the time, you're the kind of girl you marry, not the kind of girl you date. And that would hurt my feelings. And I look back now and I think sometimes they meant it as a compliment.
Well, it's like
And
they said
like I
about
said,
Elaine on Seinfeld. You're a guy's chick. You don't like women.
oh, I got along good with women. I just couldn't relate to them that well,
My mom
except for
didn't
a
get along
few.
a lot. She got along with men
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
a lot of times, and not as much with other women. But that's because I think my mom pissed everybody off too. It's like
Even now, I don't have, I have women friends. I don't have any female close friends, but I don't have any male close friends at the moment either because
I have
since
two.
my,
I have two close friends in my life. One is Paul, who I've known since 1980, and of course he owned his record store in Reno, where I actually got to work for a while, and
yeah.
he helped feed my crack habit, such as it is. And that one's a lady I've only actually been around twice in my life, and her name is I have to look it up. I forget people's names all the time, but
Yeah.
she's very Lisa. It's Lisa. She lives in Toledo. When I was with a hotel management firm outside Chicago in Northbrook, she was at one of the hotels that was under her umbrella, and she likes to tell me that she went from being a bookkeeper to an accountant because I taught her how to be an accountant over the phone. And so we've only actually seen each other twice, but we're very, very close. And somebody's secure. Her husband's a great guy. He could care less how many. Said, look, she used to go bowling all the time. I met her bowling. Most of her friends are men. That's the way life is. But I am not somebody. It's hard to get. There's not going to be a perfect person in my world because nobody's going to be as crazy as me.
Yeah. Well,
Unless they bring
when
me
I
a
met,
collection. If they got a collection, I'll talk to them.
yeah. Well, when I met my husband, it's like I met him in a chat room.
Well, that's what I'm doing online. It's like, but what I found is
Yeah.
strange now. People want a clone of themselves.
Oh, I never did.
That they want the same politics. If you like Trump, you can't talk to me. I said, why? Isn't life
Well,
boring if we just agree on everything? How do you learn things if you don't have discussion?
right. See, that's my thing. My husband and I are very different in more than just he was born in 72. I mean 73. I was born in 62. So there's a generational difference kind of.
That is different because even though you're only a year younger than me, actually you're 30 years younger than me. I know that. But we didn't really go through candy, but we certainly heard about it as we got a
Right.
little bit older. And you ever heard of the name James Garrison?
I think so.
He was the district attorney in New Orleans who investigated the Kennedy thing for years.
Okay.
Kevin Costner played him in JFK, and he did it over
I
top.
didn't see the movie, but yeah.
James Garrison was not like that. My
Okay.
mother, depending on who you talk to, first she used to say she worked for James Garrison. My sister said no, she didn't. She might have been. James Garrison might be your father for all you know. I said, well, if he is, I want the money. But my mother worked for a bail bondsman. And New
Yeah,
Orleans, that's an interesting place to be a bail bondsman. If you know
I can
anything about
imagine.
huh? Yeah, if you know at the local Costa Nostra. And I
Yeah,
wasn't aware of how much the Costa Nostra and the wise guys, ran the city. I knew there was a mob presence, but Garrison might have been onto something because I've always thought the JFK thing was just too neat the way it went down.
yeah,
Oswald
I
hit
agree with
him.
that.
Ruby hits Oswald. Who told Ruby where Oswald was? He found him. Somebody told him.
Yeah,
Ruby was
I am.
mobbed up. He was owned by the mob.
I joke around about it being a conspiracy theorist,
I
but
think
it's
that was
not
a
really
mafia.
that I don't necessarily believe all the conspiracies,
I
but
believe that one, though.
I consider how much of this is feasible.
Well,
And
another thing
I
too.
consider the possibility that there's a lot I will never know, and but I don't discount anything that I
If you
can't
dive
prove.
deeper backwards, you
Yeah.
find that to get Chicago, to get Illinois, basically the mob got him elected. That's where
Yeah.
they coined the term four-legged voting booth. So what happens when they get into office? Robert Kennedy goes after the mob. Uh-oh, you've now touched, the code was always with the mafia. We don't hit judges, we don't hit cops, we don't hit families, we don't hit newspaper people. They're doing their jobs.
Yeah.
They're not affecting us. We might not like what they think or say, but they're not hurting our business. This was business. So I've always thought it was a mob hit.
Yeah.
And the US did not want to admit that they have blown it.
Um,
We, we've
I'm
romanticized
just
that
looking.
man so much.
I was just looking at what Binary was saying. But yeah, I was lucky that
AOL.
when I met, yeah, I remember AOL, but when I met my husband, okay, Binary. But yeah, I always joke around that we met in chat, but he came with references because I was real life. I had become real life friends with his ex girlfriend, and well, actually, they were still together at that time. They had just started dating when I first got to know her online, and then we eventually met in real life and became friends. And then later, when they were having issues, I actually was kind of like trying to help them work it out. And when they finally broke up, she said, "You know what? He's a really great guy. We just don't want the same things right now," because she was a little younger than him. And she was like, I want to go to school. I want to move somewhere else. I want to get out of this little town and, see the world a little bit. And he wants a wife and a family and all that." And I'm like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And eventually, like she said, but you should ask him out because he's a nice guy. And he and I talked for a while after that. And hi, Ivan.
Oh, I am going to get off because I'm hearing that I do have a loud voice.
Yeah.
The problem is it goes up through the ventilation.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah.
But
I'm probably going to shut it down before too long
this has
because,
been great. Let's do it a little earlier sometime. But
yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep this stream up because, I'll have to go look at because I want to make sure I didn't reveal anything that other people wouldn't want to know about us.
you know what? No, I think we were pretty cautious because,
Okay.
like I said, I'll tell you on. I'll send you like a messenger on Facebook sometime my theories, but I wouldn't put them on the air.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those people. I'm pretty open about myself. If you
I
look
am
at my
too.
Facebook page and everything, but I don't want to tell other people's business.
No, like I said, I have a theory on DGN, but I wouldn't broadcast it.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. Like I said, all I need to know is that somebody's staying in touch and checking on him and things
Yeah,
like that.
and
And
everybody
that,
give what they can to Virgo, please.
yeah. Um,
She's getting close to the goal. So
I'm trying to remember what's because I haven't been there in a while. I peeked in when on the Tracy Gale thing, but I haven't really
oh God,
kept up with her.
I'm nauseous about that.
Yeah, yeah.
How nothing happened.
They probably gave her time served because I think she took a guilty plea and they gave her time served. If
She'll
what it
deny
looked
that,
like.
of course. She'll deny it.
Because I was watching the video and then I had to stop watching it for some reason and never went back to it. But yeah.
So I'm gonna sign off and let you guys continue.
Well, I appreciate your support, and I will let you know when I plan another one. Like I said, I don't. The only two plans I had was to do a boomer stream, and this might have been it.
Uh-huh.
But there might be others, and to do, like I said, a sort of a adult themed. And the reason for that is because of even people our age. There's a lot of misinformation out there on.
Well, you let me know what you do because I got some things. I'll tell you in Messenger about them. But
Okay.
I want to do like I want to do some streams on. Of course, I couldn't show the movie clips in them, but perfect porn or something like that.
Oh yeah. That yeah. I think all I have to do is, put the settings on adult only type thing,
Yeah,
and
because there were. I just remember certain I almost had a hard time watching some of the old ones after these people were dead. It's like I can't. Oh, they were actresses. It's okay.
yeah. I
But
get you.
we had less people then and better stars.
Yeah, because I did want to do a stream or at least have a discussion with other people on the subject that two things that help damage relationships, and this is a little bit tongue in cheek, but not entirely. Porn and romance novels. They both
Porn
give
is the whole
you
reason the VHS took off.
what now?
Porn is the entire reason we had videotapes.
Yeah, but if you think about, um, there are always those people who don't take into consideration these are actors who are used to doing certain things all the time,
Porn is
or
more realistic than a romance novel.
but you know what I'm saying, that you can't just meet a woman who's never been intimate with a man before and she's going to do every single thing you can think of willingly and that's not the word I was wanting to use. um oh, Look, she's not going to want to just jump in with both feet, so to speak, and say, hey, yeah, let's try all of these things and knock them off the list in one go. Humans don't usually work that like that, and romance novels are just set women up for uh we're supposed to be these delicate little creatures that need a man to come in and save us. Even if we say no, it's really what's best for us, kind of thing, and it just gives you, there's all kind of mixed messages in both romance novels and in porn that realistic, reasonable people see through it, but some people don't take the time to see through it. They're just there for the entertainment, but certain things stick in their head. Because I've dated guys who I've had to tell them, most women aren't going to do that when they first meet you, or most women are not going to do that with you if and just jump right into it enthusiastically. That's the word I was looking for. Without knowing anything about it. Certain acts, like what I'm saying, being adventurous, we'll just say. Although I do not judge what other people do as long as it's with adults and with consent.
Exactly.
Other than that, pretty much everything else is you do you.
Hockey masks are allowed, but please keep the chainsaws out of it.
Yeah. And like Binary said, fluids, smells, noises. Me and my husband have this theory. It's like, if you can't laugh at yourself and your partner and you never made embarrassing noises during sex, you're not doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe you won't have a sense of humor
Yeah.
about it in the beginning, but because I mean, it was years before I ever passed gas in front of my husband, to be perfectly honest. But when first time I did it, he laughed his butt off.
I tell you, with Crohn's, you learn to walk outside for a couple of minutes at a time.
Yeah, I have IBS. I get you. All right. Well,
Okay,
take
dear.
care, hon.
Hey,
Binary, I think I'm gonna go ahead and close this, but I am going to be doing another one, and
You just let
I
me
will
know.
let
Like I
people
said,
know.
messenger me sometime, and I'll let you know what I think's going on.
Okay, gotcha. And hey.com.
Night binary.
I love your message, Dot.
Duplications 316. That's right.
Dot is one of the people in my new tribe that I can't get enough of so far.
Anybody who can do a Steve Austin type quote,
Anyway, I really appreciate all of y'all coming to support me and putting up with me and letting me be loud and all that
and keep
stuff.
putting up with us.
And as I learn to use this program, I may change StreamYards to something else. Somebody was telling me about a different thing, but it's going to be a learning process, and I take suggestions. And like I said, I really appreciate everybody. Thank you, Binary. Take care of yourself. Quit chasing the nurses.
Oh no, no! Don't stop chasing the nurses.
Well, I mean, just don't chase them too fast.
Get one of those
They work.
motorized
They work
wheelchairs and
long
chase them
hours.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So Streamlab, maybe. I don't know much about all these different programs, but I'm checking out a lot of different ones. But but yeah, thank you guys again. I appreciate you.
Good
And
night,
like I
John
said,
boy.
good night, Mary Ellen.
I
Take
hate
care.
that show.
Be well.
God, I
Stay
hate it.
safe. Me too.
Good night, everybody.
Later, Gators. Bye bye. Take care, you guys. Hope to see y'all soon.